Welcome back. We're ready to get to the action. I'll tell you guys, I'm already in a trade, and boy, oh boy, it's looking like another tough day for me in the main account. I'm trying to bounce back, but I went into BTCT this morning, and it ain't looking good. Got to keep battling here to see if we can get some kind of bounce off this $20 spot. I'm thinking about adding and sizing down. Of course, I'd be closer towards a 21 average, but need to see what's going on here. BTCT. Bitcoin was going up this morning. Find out what we can get into. But right now, we are having a little bit of what we call a fast market. Why? Because we're getting retail sales data to take a look into. So let's take a look at that action. Let me make sure that I have here my gainers and losers list here. Just want to fix something up right quick. There we go. Let's bring in the charts here. Let's take a look at the action right now as it's hitting the tape. And keep an eye out there, guys. We'll see what's going on here as we get retail numbers to come in. So retail sales data coming in at 0.4 versus a 0.3 estimate, prior being 0.8. So it did come down a little bit, but above the estimate there, looking good there for October. Export prices also coming in above, import prices coming in above, and then core retail sale a little bit lower than the estimate there, but we'll see what happens. How the market reacts with this is really going to be the watch here. Let's go to the charts here, and you can see right now we're kind of dipping down here back towards the 590s. It's been a bearish close yesterday. This just continued to fade, and we finally did break away from the 597s and broke the 595 and then continued to leak on the day. Will we leak again today? We are seeing the leaking action already. The VIX up there to 4420s. We'll look to see if we get some more leak. What's affecting this? Well, we did get some earnings out there that weren't the best, right? AMAT getting a big hit on the downside and not looking good there in the semiconductor equipment space. So this could be one of the names that could really take a hit. This slid 5% after the offering, weaker than expected revenue guidance despite solid quarterly earnings. Investors, of course, cautious here as near-term challenges are affecting this stock. And we'll see what happens there in AMAT. How will XRT react today? I'm watching the action off of that retail number. Not much action right now. Taking a look at the stocks, though, that are moving right now, this SPPL taking a huge lift off just a second ago here, guys. It was at $1, now towards 134. And this was right before I start the show there, right at 830, 831. This taking off to the upside. We'll see if this can keep moving. Let's go over to the limited account, see what we can come up with. I'm still trying to battle in BTCT. We'll see if Bitcoin can come back today and give me a little cash here. Just trying to battle back here and trying to make a quick little trade, and got caught. As I saw Bitcoin, it was lifting in the morning. It was pushing to 90,000. We're back below the 90,000 spot. So now at this point, I think that we could drop back here and could drop a little bit further. I was expecting a move into 90,000 and then a pullback back towards 70,000. So if we can't get back above the 90,000 on Bitcoin today, I think that's a real sign of concern for the weekend, and you could see some letting go towards the end of the day. So I think it's very important to see that this comes back early in the day versus later in the day. If it does come back later in the day, that's where it's going to be difficult to make decisions. Right now, we are seeing a decline in the Qs, and it doesn't look good. Apple selling some more of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett wants out of Apple. That's one thing for certain. He did want in on DPZ, though, Domino's Pizza. And Domino's Pizza is actually going down off of this news. So it had all the support. And he got rid of Ulta. He said, I don't want that ugly pig. Well, I wanted that pig with makeup on. So now at this point, I'm watching to see what happens. The news is negative on Ulta. If it breaks 360, this pattern that we were looking at is completely broken. So I'm not looking to see that breaks 360 today. I'm looking to see if we recover back towards like 365, 370. If that can happen, maybe you can hang on here. We'll see what happens there in Ulta Beauty. And keeping an eye on different stocks out there. Baba did have some earnings today, so China stocks were up early. Now they're starting to pull back with the Qs. So we'll look to see if some of the action comes back into some China names. I'm keeping an eye on that trade. It's nothing that I just want to get rid of, and something that I want to keep a watch on. All right, I'm seeing different stocks out there. Gree moving back here towards 4. I saw this one earlier. It did break 4 and then came right back. taking a look at some different ones out there today, right? Seeing if any of these smaller moves are going to continue to push. We'll go through some of the stocks, of course, in the Sunrise Report. We've talked about Ulta and Domino's. There's not too much out there. There is some news on JPM. It looks like Wells Fargo coming in here and giving an upgrade to JPM. We'll see if that can give a nice little lift. This is all based on, of course, Trump administration and getting the lift there. So we'll continue to watch. And it looks like I just took a hit there on BTCT. BTCT coming down fast, dropping fast there, guys. It just went to the 1850s on the bid there, really getting me out there at the 19. So, yeah, going to be working with the limited account today. That's what it's going to be. It is what it is, guys. Definitely probably going to need to get a new main account, extra buying power. That one's just in the gutter now at this point. It's pretty much gone, man. But hey, that wasn't the best week for me in the main account, but the limited account has done well. I am down 75 on it. I was looking at IBG this morning. We'll continue to look to see if we make some trades in IBG or some other smaller names. That's what I'm going to be watching mainly. I've been doing pretty good. This GRI, I wanted it at 370s earlier today. So we'll see how it does in the $4 spot there. But definitely down she goes. BTCT giving me a big hit there on that pullback. And it was looking good earlier. And there was even a time where I could have bought it early on into 21s, and then it went to like 23. And I think that that's what got me, guys, is that I wanted to buy it there at the 21. I kind of waited. I waited. It broke out, and then I was waiting for a pullback to get in. I did get the pullback. I jumped in and got caught there. So BTCT giving me a big stop out today. We'll leave it alone and just keep moving. All right, we'll see what happens today. I'm going to be looking to see if oil can get a little bit of a jump. Been keeping an eye on this trade as it's been going sideways on the hourly. Just recently on Wednesday, we were looking like we were going to break out above the 122s, and then we pulled right back. So I'm looking to see if we take that 122 today, definitely above 121. It'll be looking better. And if we think about it in the Trump conversation, of course, if you looked at the historical reference, what did well in the second week past the elections? It was energy that started to perform a little bit better, financials performing better, and what came down, it was tech that came down. So I'm going to be looking to see if XOM gets the lift today. I'm going to be looking to see if XLP, some consumer staples, get the lift today, and also taking a look to see if we finally get a move in XRT to the upside. I'm watching some of those names because I think it's very important to keep your eyes on a potential Black Friday trade coming up. Of course, it's not going to be next week, but the following week we'll get into Black Friday. And I think that a lot of times I like to look into ahead of these events, not when the event is coming, right? So we'll see what happens there on XOM if it can take a little bit of a push. I still like CleanSpark today. Really need to see the market come back, but I still like CleanSpark. Was watching it this morning in the pre-market. It was around like 1445s, 1450s. We'll see if we can get this to lift back above the 15 today. We'll keep an eye out on some of the crypto names. Of course, BTCT, maybe not the one to kind of trade today. The spread on that one is really being wicked. That's the big thing too. Ben F, I did see it earlier today. Keep your eyes on this one. Has pulled back to the 190s, but it was up there to $3. This is one that maybe during the opening prices could start to get a little bit of a spike. BENF, and there's some other ones, right? AREN is another one that I saw early on. We'll see if this one gets the push, and you guys can see I already had kind of the flagging pattern on that. Almost got this one at 170 on the pullback. Should have gone for it because this would have been a nice like 61 cents on it. And I was looking at this one about risking only about 10 cents there when it pulled back to this 170 spot. That's where the VWAP was, right around this 170. I was looking to get in. It came right here towards 165. That should have been the entry, getting in there and then getting a little test here to 165. Boom, it starts to hold the 170, and there you go. Lift off into the twos, and you can sell into that rip. Not a bad one there. AREN. I hope somebody was able to nail that one this morning. Catching up with you guys in the chat. What's going on out there, traders? Looks like we need some more traders in here. Hit the like, guys. Hit the like. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's take a look at some other action out there. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at what else is out there. 208 on AREN. We'll see if that gets a lift again. FSIL getting a little bit of a lift there. Did that have earnings just now? Oh, no, it isn't, but it's definitely moving here. FSIL, let's take a look here. Of course, this is fuel cell energy. They're surging after a restructuring deal planned to include a 17% workforce cut. So it's not the best news, but it is giving them the lift, right? They're cutting some expenses and getting a little bit of a push up there to 841. Has had a couple of pushes towards the 850s where it's failed. Did get up there towards almost $9 just recently. We'll look to see if it goes back to that spot in FSIL. Of course, FSIL runs with Plug, so you can take a look to see if Plug maybe runs if FSIL just takes off. All right, we'll take a look at some other action out there. What's going on out there? Scott, Vic, what's up out there, guys? What are you guys taking a look at this morning? We can take a look at different stocks out there. We'll definitely be watching to see what goes on in the market today. I mean, I'm watching all over the place. I did see some news in Alcoa. So they got some support. And then, of course, China is kind of playing hardball with steel. So if you see steel getting a little bit of a pullback today, that could be why that's going on. There's a little bit of a battle in China. They're saying, well, we're not going to give you some like kind of export kind of credits there on steel, and that's going to affect different places. So maybe aluminum gets picked up a little bit more. Sometimes when, let's say, if steel is going to be more expensive, sometimes aluminum gets picked up as the cheaper good, right? Well, you can still make things a lot out of aluminum. The only question is, do you want to make it out of aluminum? Probably not. You want to make it out of steel. But in this situation, you're seeing Alcoa get a lift there, and we'll see if some steel names start to take a little bit of a pullback. So we'll see what happens on that action. Definitely not liking steel as much as I did the other day. Cleveland Cliff was one of the ones that I was watching, and now you can see it. It's pulled back and doesn't look good here. All right, real estate also pulling back here. It just seems like a lot of weakness has come into the market in the last day or two. So could we see some continued leak? Yeah, we could. If there's areas to look for strength, it's energy and financials. Those are the areas that I'm seeing some strength right now. So that's what I'm watching for. SPPL, of course, we just talked about this one. Will it get to the $150 and $2 spot? Was up there on the daily. It's making not a bad move. It's off the 140s, 130s. Just pulled back to the VWAP. We'll look to see if it takes another step up there. SPPL. Might have to go get another coffee here before the bell, guys. It's been a long morning for me already. I've been up since pretty much 4 a.m., so I've been doing a lot. So I might have to go do a little refill in a second here. But we're looking good, guys. It's 8:46. Doing well, looking into the market out here, taking a look to see what else is making a move here. Shopify making a little bit of a lift there. I'm looking around, guys. I think right now we're just still seeing some pullback off of the SPY and the Qs. Can the Qs recover today? It's a big watch, right? I'm going to be watching to see if they recover. I'm still kind of thinking that we can get a little bit of a bounce back here. Another one that I'll be watching for, I've talked about this one countless times, is Ethereum. So ETHU pulled back there to the 740s with that downside action. And this morning it was a little bit lower. I'm keeping a very close eye on these names. I think Ethereum eventually can get a nice run. And if Ethereum gets a nice run, I'll tell you one thing. I don't want to be missing it, guys. So we'll see what happens there. If it starts to make a push above the 758s is one level that I'll be watching for. Really, it's looking good as it starts to get back towards, let's say, $8. $8 is that spot where things start to get hot and can make a run to $9. All right, we'll see what happens with some other ones. Zeta showing up there. I saw this one earlier. This one's a cheaper name, but was holding around the 19, now holding the 20s. We'll see if it makes a little bit of a move here. 5-minute chart didn't look too bad. It is recovering here. If you look at the daily's ugly, though. That's the problem with this one. Big hit on the daily, but showing some turnaround. Could get a bounce back to the 90 MA, which is around the 25, 26 spot. All right, looking around, what other ones are trading today, guys? We'll take a look to see what's moving here. I'm seeing Cero moving, but that's a $20, 20-cent stock. Don't expect too much from there. Maybe 35 cents gets to. Not the biggest upside outlook, right? DHC pulling back, not looking good on that one. IonQ kind of sideways right now, but I do see QUBT that is coming down, and IonQ eventually did come down yesterday, but it wasn't a breakdown, so we'll see what happens today. ASTS also on the radar. Looks like they had earnings. They took a little bit of a hit down and now starting to pull back. If it cracks 20 though, this one could be down. It's been making a huge run, could start pulling back to the 200 EMA, which is around the 18. All right, we'll take a look at some other action today. Of course, Chevron and different oil names definitely to watch there. We'll see if they start to make the move on the upside. Let's go to more news here. Let's talk a little bit more about what's going on with yesterday's conversation with Jerome Powell. As Jerome Powell was pretty much kind of backtracking, and that's what he was doing. He was pretty much indicating that the central bank isn't rushing to cut interest rates. Then what the hell did you do a 50 basis point cut? The truth is, you don't know what you're doing, Jerome Powell, and maybe Trump should fire you, but we won't get into that conversation here. It's not about the political aspect of this. It's more about the shift in the dampened expectations for another cut on December's meeting. That could be why we are down today, because people think that, well, now the Fed is thinking, oh, we're not going to cut interest rates further. And now the probability of a quarter point reduction falling to 62% from just yesterday, 82.5%. And if you look probably back a month ago, 99% said there was going to be a cut in December. Well, there you guys have it. It's definitely going to be something to look at, as the CME Fed Watch tool is saying that maybe Jerome isn't going to cut, right? And maybe you can hold steady, right? 37% that he'll hold steady. Something definitely to watch out for. All right, we'll take a look at what else is moving out here. I'm starting to see BTCT starting to get a little bit of a bounce there, as of course it washed me out and now starting to bounce back. And who knows? This one could still play battles, right? I mean, I'm going to be probably not trading this one again, right? That's for sure. But you can see it's almost back to 2050s. I would only be down 50 cents. I think in this one, I just went way too big early, and that just wrecked me. They washed me out on that dip there, and now it's already almost back to where I would get it. So like if I would have got my fills, I know I was closer to this 2050 now, and I could be really close to getting out, break even. But that's just how it goes sometimes, team. That's why I'll be watching Clean Spark today to see if it kind of gives a nice little rip out the gates. There's plenty other names that I can take trades on today. All right, we'll see what else is out there. Watching for some bigger movers, seeing what's moving around, seeing what's out on the streets out there. I'm seeing a lot out there, man. Looking around, trying to find some moves out there, guys. What's going on? All right, taking a look to see where we can find some other action here. What's the stocks trading out there? 754 on Ethereum. ETHU starting to get a little bit of a lift. I'm looking at Clean Spark, maybe thinking about taking the shot already here in the pre-market. It looks like it wants to start going, and of course we've had some nice bearish action here, so looking to see if we can get some kind of reversal in the overall market. But what do I see when I look into the Qs? I see leaking. So that's the hardest part of taking this trade, is that there's a lot of leak around the market, right? So we'll take a look at some other action there. Let's keep it moving, guys. Let's take a look at some different stocks that are getting some moves out there. And if you guys got anything to talk about, let me know. I'm seeing Apple and Nvidia drop fast. That's not looking good. Tesla, though, up a little bit this morning, was getting a little bit of a spike since this morning. We'll see if it's able to hold and get back above the 313s. It's holding on the 9 EMA, so that's actually not a bad outlook. The only question is, can we get a bullish day, or will Tesla go to 300? A lot of people watching for that 300. Will it even get back there? Something to look for. I think we could maybe have a bullish day on the Qs, and if we do have a bullish day, I don't think Tesla even comes to 300. So I'll be looking to see if I can catch a little dip and a little run in Tesla. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Let's see what else is out there, what else I can come up with this morning. I'm looking around, trying to make some trades, trying to get to the action, and looking at different stocks. I'm seeing Soxel down big. So, of course, more negative action there in some tech space. We'll look to see if some of these tech names can bounce back. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. Let's find some trades. Let's make some money. All right, looking around, trying to find some action out there. XLP. XLP looking like it wants to get back above the 81. This is one to watch today, guys. I think it's a setup here. If we do get some even more downside action, this is one to watch, especially looking for some of these consumer staples to kind of stay hot. Walmart has stayed hot. Costco has stayed hot. Maybe those get the lift again. Target is one to watch for a little bit of a lift. I'm starting to see a little bit of a turnaround in Target, guys. I know that might sound hard, and my man Tim would be in the background, probably jumping with joy. But I tell you right now, I'm still seeing a turnaround in Target here. The key is, though, it needs to start coming back through the 160 and the 170 area, eventually clearing to 200. So I think that you're getting investors into Target now. And I think that this is one to look at, guys. So you can see here on this kind of pattern, especially lately in the last couple of weeks, it's held. It just did a dip underneath the 150. Needs to hold that 150 on pullbacks now, and then looking for the continued upside. So 150, definitely a spot to look for pullbacks. I think at this point, I'm looking for the rip up back towards 155 and 157. We'll see what happens there in Target. DG, Dollar General, getting a little bit of a bounce back. This has been really beaten down here. It's taken pretty much a half haircut. This was a $250 stock, guys, and because of inflation, has turned into 70% down. It's ridiculous. Man, what a turn there, man. You're back towards 2017 prices. That's a tough turn in Dollar General, especially for investors out there. Dollar Tree, same thing. These don't look good by any means necessary. BJ's Wholesale. I've been trying to play this one, and I played this one for a while now, and it's continued to go. I mean, this is just moving, I think, with Costco. As long as Costco stays in favor, this one can, but it drops out fast. All these bargain outlet this one has stayed in the favorite. I think I would see this one start to pull back a little bit, especially with that Dollar Tree and dollar stores, the way that they're performing. Doesn't make me feel confident. Farming products is one to look for continued upside. We'll look to see if this makes a nice push. Why would farming products make a push? Well, the big part with this is has to do with Trump's administration and what are, of course, John F. Kennedy Jr., right? And I think that this is something to watch for, as you could start to see some liftoff in these stocks. You're seeing already this morning what? Tyson up and holding well. So I'm watching for a move there in the XLP, some consumer staples, some Archer Daniel Midland, some BG. A lot of these, I think we keep an eye out to see if we start to see some strength. And then, of course, taking a look to see if it can get that continued lift. I'd be watching, of course, Tyson as probably being the best looking chart right now and starting to show that real bottoming approach towards 70. All right, we'll take a look around. We'll still be watching for some other stocks out there. Taking a look, guys, taking a look. Q's coming back down here towards the 504s. We'll see if it breaks the 500 today. Of course, that's where it came from the Trump day, right? So we've had that push. We've had that pullback. Now will we kind of rebounce, or when we just keep starting to crack here? All right, 1439s looking around out there. Baba getting a little bounce there. VIX still holding on around the same levels here. So looking around to see how those stocks are performing. Ulta is going to be one to definitely keep an eye out for. I can't believe Warren wanted to get out that fast. I mean, he got the pop just from mentioning it, and then now he sold into that pop. So, I mean, hey, he made the money, but it's a little bit, to me, it's sometimes unfair, but hey, it is what it is. If your name's Warren Buffett and you get to get stocks to move $10 just because you buy it, and then you get to sell into that $10, well, I mean, hey, power to you, right? We'll see what happens with some other action there. Looking around to see some other names. QuantumScape pulled back to 4. And this name's gone nowhere in the last couple of months. I did see some gambling names, of course, have been really hot. What's going to happen with Netflix tonight and Tyson? Mike Tyson, will Mike Tyson knock out Paul tonight? I'm hoping for left-hand knockout, but, I mean, hey, we'll see what happens, right? I mean, Mike Tyson does have an insane right hand, but people don't know about that little quick hook with that left hand. That's how he does a lot of damage. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for Paul reaching. He can duck it and come right over the top with that left hand. Even take the hit a little bit is fine. Just come with the left and get a clean hit. We'll see what happens. Man, tonight, Mike Tyson, Paul. We'll see. Disney starting to pull back, could start to fill the gap, right? We talked about how this one would come into this green spot. Now I'm looking for a pullback to 100. Big move on Disney. And yesterday, Iger gave some news in the earnings call that he wasn't supposed to give. Oh, man, Iger, come on, man. I know that you're about to get and see the door, but even the CFO was like, good Lord, Iger. Why did you say that? Why did you say that? He gave out information that was literally not given anywhere else, and it wasn't supposed to be given on the call. He gave the information that 35% of the Disney Plus subscribers are on the ad plan. That is a good and bad news, meaning that the ad plan is doing well because it's getting picked up. But is it because people don't want to pay for the ones without ads, right? They don't want to go for the higher tier. They're willing to stick to that lower tier. That's bad news for Disney because it just means that the margins are lower. Yes, they make some of this up with the ad revenue, but it just goes to show you how high quality of a product is it that, you know, you have 35%, near 40% of your viewers on the ad plan. That's not a good news. So Iger, I think, made a big mistake there. I think the Disney could be pulling back today because of that. And that was given on the earnings call yesterday. So if anything, it could have pulled back yesterday off of that. And we did see a little bit of a pullback. Look what happened. This was in the morning, right? And what did it do? It just pulled back all the way. Could be coming back to 100. All right, we'll see what happens there. Clean Spark still looking at it, guys. It's at 1444, is just holding in right now. And the big part of this is that the Qs are not going to the upside. If the Qs were starting to break towards 506, I'd take a shot on Clean Spark right now. But we'll see what happens there. VIX still elevated this morning as the market is coming down. We did see some good news and bad news out there. So it's kind of like one of those mixed days, at least in the information out there. We need to be watching some of the bigger boys, NVIDIA, Apple, of course, Amazon. You can see they're all taking hits right now. Meta taking a hit. And this AVGO, I saw some traders out there making some bigger bets on AVGO. We'll look to see if this comes back to the upside. I think this is looking ugly on a day like today, but hey, that's it's to each his own. Netflix running into the fight, and now I think it could pull back today. I know that some people will be watching to see if Netflix can run into the Jake Paul and Tyson fight. But instead, I think if we have a red day today, why not take out the low and come back towards like 826 or 820? So that's kind of the outlook that I would have on Netflix. It'd be a longer outlook, maybe a short swing or something like that. We'll see what happens there on Netflix. Will Netflix see a huge subscriber gain because they want to watch the fight? Don't forget, of course, the fight will be on Netflix. And if you're not a subscriber, you might need to subscribe just to watch the fight. And that's a big plus here for Netflix. And this is a big test for Netflix going into more of a pay-per-view event. Could this be the future for Netflix as they keep moving forward and doing more maybe fights, boxing fights, maybe different fights out there, right? Supporting different maybe leagues or something like that. I think this is so important because this is the next move in streaming, right? Is moving the pay-per-views towards these certain content will keep subscribers subscribed. Let's be honest. As a Netflix subscriber that's been a Netflix subscriber for years and years, it's not really that I use it. Mainly, it's more my wife loves Netflix. But the truth is, at the end of the day, we don't cut that thing. And when they make mentions like this and bring fights like this to Netflix, that makes me want to keep it. So we already are keeping it because of the way that my wife likes it. But the truth is, with this support, it just goes to show you that you could still see Netflix continue to gain some more subscribers. And content is king, That's why Netflix is best of breed. All right, we'll see what happens with Netflix. And of course, that was helping kind of a WBD run, right? We talked about how this one had a nice little lift, guys. I missed the run there on Wednesday. That's where I think I did it wrong. I played this one on the earnings spike. I got a nice lift into the 70s. It came back to $9, held sideways, and made a nice little lift here. Could get to $10 today, but man, that was a good little push there in Warner Brothers. See if maybe Paramount can get this lift, right? We can see it's been pushing. You're seeing multiple names focus on this. If we can have a good day, these don't look too bad. But Disney, I think, is going to be the one that kind of starts to spill on these action. Morning, SPPL was one definitely that I was looking at just a while ago. It was at 130. It went all the way up to 160. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times to try to get towards the next high, and it starts to pull back to support. Now you're in your reload method, right? So you look at supports and you start thinking about where you can really reload. It's closer towards this 125 and this 9 EMA. So 133 to 125 is areas where I would be looking for reloads, then to come back towards that 161. We'll see if it gets back up there. All right, let me go back to my scanner here and make sure that I'm keeping an eye on the scanner action to catch all of the action that's moving all around. Let's go, guys. All right, we'll take a look at some different stocks. We've got some stocks moving right now. I'm seeing Zero, which is a smaller one. It's just a penny name here. GREE starting to get a little move here. GREE. This is one that I'll keep an eye out for, guys. I think I've seen enough volume in this thing that it does want to keep going. And the 15-minute chart looking good here as it starts to hold that bottoming. Now can we go for a push back towards this level? I think we're looking good here, guys. We've gotten a nice up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3, down 3. Held that. Shouldn't break the 375 anymore. Could break the 4 right now, guys. So I'm watching for the action here. Right before the bell here, GREE already getting going here. GREE now towards almost $4 here. Let's see what happens. It looks good here, man. I always find it tough to long names right before the bell. But this GREE is looking good. What are you guys thinking out there? What do you guys like on GREE? Let's see if we get back above the 4. And there's one thing that I wanted to bring in here, guys. And let me see if I can send it to myself so I can bring it to the screen here for us. And this is just to show you guys that I look all around, just trying to find information for you guys. Trying to find what traders are trading what. Maybe is it time for penny stocks and things like that? It's very important to me to kind of give you guys information that is something that you might not be looking at right? So I did some research here, and of course, I take a look all the time to see what I can come up with, right? Let me send it to, I'll send it to Tim. Tim, if you're listening, this isn't really for you, but don't worry, buddy. I'll help you out with this one. All right, there you go. I just wanted to bring that picture in there, so I sent it to Tim there. But let's go ahead. Let me bring it in here. See if you can even read it there. I'll see. Let me see here. Open with another app here. There we go. All right, guys, so I'm bringing the picture in here so that you guys can take a look at this. And what this is mainly about is showing you that there is these gurus that are trading these moves. So this was Ross Cameron, and this was on his post from yesterday. So what stocks were moving yesterday? It was UAVS, and that stock continued to move. It was like a $4, and it just kept riding up. Well, guess who traded it? Ross Cameron, right? Guess who traded BTCT on that big pop earlier? Yes, Ross Cameron. Guess who traded KXIN on that quick little pop that came back down? Yeah, it was Ross Cameron. But this is the one that I wanted to talk about, which was GXAI. If you guys remember yesterday, I was talking about how GXAI had a repeat seller that kept showing up into the 240s and 230s. Well, I think it was my man, Ross Cameron, right here, because he was in at 217. And he had a big sizing. I'm sure he had like 20,000 shares. He kept just selling into that and trying to make money, not getting the big breakout, looking for probably even more sizing to get that big push, and it just didn't come. Then you take a look here at what he got caught in. He got caught in BTCS and got caught in TRNR, which really gave him an ugly haircut. So take a look to see that action, and that tells me more and more that there's these gurus and furus that are really coming after these penny stocks. And one like Gree could be one of those names, right? Reason why? It gives you enough time to load in here on the sideways action. That's why I liked also AREN, right? Because it was off the $1 and $1.50s, but it gave you so much time to get in there and load the volume. Look at the volume that's going in there. Leslie's is one that definitely watched today, as Warren Buffett made a purchase on Pool. So if you're looking at why Leslie's is moving today, it's because Pool Corp got a big lift by that Warren mention. This is one that's interesting for those bigger price names that like to, those bigger price traders that like to trade the bigger names. This is one that definitely watched today. But Leslie's Pool Supplies is very similar and could be getting a lift based on this too. So I'd be watching to see if this could recover $3 today. But there's a lot of these smaller ones to watch for. Can keep an eye out to see if some of these other ones start to really kind of push. But BTCT, how's that one doing now? Back to 1977. So it doesn't look like it's being able to hold on right now. We'll take a look at different action. All right, let's go ahead. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Looking around for some different action out there. Not seeing much. Buru, AREN starting to get a little bit of a lift there. AREN back through the $2 spot there. Had come down, undercut $2. Now starting to get a lift off of that $2. We'll look to see if it takes the 210 and 250s here in the pre-market. All right, guys, it's what, 9:11 here, guys. It's Gree is starting to hang in there, so that looks good there for the $4 break. I'm not going to go after it right now in the pre-market. It's not really my thing right before 9:30 to take trades. It really frustrates me when I do that because a lot of times I stay in the name right before the open, and then all of a sudden I get a dip at the open, get washed out, and the stock goes higher. So we'll see what happens there. I do see some watch lists there in the chat. We'll go through all these, guys. We still got a couple of minutes here. OKLO short. Yeah, I've heard about that ticker plenty of times. OKLO. This is that regulated electric name, and it is looking good for a short. I think this is an interesting one, right? Because if you take a look at the daily chart's going to tell you it all, right? You got 1 push, 2 push, 3 push, 4 pushes. This is where it failed. Right there on that 25. It tried to make that next push up towards that 25, failing. Now that always tells me an attempted move towards support. So where could we be going to? First level is going to be $20. So that's what I'd be watching to see if it gets back towards $20. Yeah, you can watch for it. for that downside break. It's at 20.97, continuing on the downside right now. Maybe some bounces, but right now, yeah, you're trying to flush through that 21, going towards the 20. But I think, you could get a bounce on that 20. So I think this is going to be one that's going to be maybe chopping throughout the day, and then maybe a later in the day continued fade. Here's GRI for that $4 break, and it looks great here. And I'm sure there's some volume coming in on this name now. And you can see here on the bottom right, 4,000 shares at $3.99. Yeah, there's some volume coming in here for the break. It's not an insane sizing, but definitely when you see this $3.94, you see all the way to $3.95, $3.99. Bunch of sizing coming in there. That tells me more and more someone could be loading the boat, getting ready for this GRI to take off here. We'll see if it takes off, or does it do a little bit of a 15-minute pause there, come back towards 370s, wash out some fake to the downside, and then come back up. It could just rip out here to 450s, and by the time we're getting to the open, it's way higher. So there's your 401 break. Let's see if it really takes off this $4. So there's 404 now, 405. Can we get there towards 420s? Pun intended. We'll see what happens here on GRI. 404 now. Trying to break through the highs here. You saw multiple highs in the same area, the 405. That's where you keep running into a repeat seller. And there's a repeat seller showing up there. A little bit of a selling towards the 413s. So that's where I think the next step up is to 413s. We'll see if it gets through that level and really goes to the 420. All right, this is GRI, Greenridge Generation Holdings. We'll see if it gets towards that 450 pop. All right, OKLO, we'll see if it gets a short today. Future day trader in the house. What's going on out there, guys? Not a bad list there mentioned by Big Me. We'll take a look at that. Take a look at some of those stocks there. I'm going to go ahead and just bring in my man Tim for just a second here, guys, as we take a second here. I'm just going to go and probably get a coffee right quick. What's going on, Tim? How we doing?
About the time for it, isn't it? Right? It's one of those mornings.
Yeah, it's been the time for it, but the only thing is mine's starting to run real low.
Yep, there you go. So, yeah, no, it's an interesting morning. I was in the futures a little bit earlier on, taking a look at I was looking at crypto setup with a friend of mine last night. And, yeah, things are just – it's interesting to see which way things will go. I am looking for that Trump continuation. Myself, OSCR is sort of Trump linked. So I can go into that for a second while you
let's do it. Let's do it. If you want to bring in the charts there, by all means.
Share my screen, actually. So that would help.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you can't take over my charts, but we'll see what happens there, man. Yeah, bring up your charts and we'll take a look. And you guys in the chat, let Tim know some questions out there. Maybe some stocks that you guys are looking at. You guys get a moment with him here before he heads out, but enjoy it. Take advantage of it. He's right here, guys. Baba will be on watch. I did see a little bit of some lift. No worries. Take your time.
My OBS.
Re-OBS, the OBS.
Yep.
Red market today? I don't know, man. We'll see. It's starting red, but you know how it is. It could scare us, and all of a sudden it gets ripping on roaring. That GRI getting up there to 408 there, now 409, got to 410 there. Let's see if it really takes off there off the $4 spot. There's now 9,000 at 415, so somebody wants out at 415. Let's see if it goes through him. Here goes 413, right towards that 415. Here's that 415 seller. Boom, hits him. And did he go through? Ooh, I don't think he went through. I think he pulled it off there. Yeah, he pulled it off. Now they threw it on the 411 on the bid side, trying to get some bid up there. Looks good there. Now could take the 419s and the 420s. Let's see if it takes it really quickly to 420. That's what I'd like to see if I was a bull. I'm not in this one right now, guys. I'm just calling the action as I see it on GRI. Don't get greedy. Haha, you like that one? Don't get greedy on GRI today, guys. Pun intended, and the dad jokes are bad, so I'm going to go ahead and go get a coffee.
Yep, there we go. Like corny jokes and let's see here. Corny jokes and needing lots of coffee. That's pretty much the dad situation. Future day trader billionaire. going back to options soon. That's where the money is. I can tell you that, yeah, actually, we will have a discussion 1 o'clock today. It was going to be yesterday, but we are going to continue discussing in the Discord TTP for derivatives traders. So if you have a lot of options experience, you want to kick around ideas of how to translate that or use them, have some synergy there, we can talk about that. So real quickly, since I promised it, and then I'll look at the other ticker. And yeah, Mohit, like, yeah, last 2 days have been tricky. Would love to see a little more direction in there. So this is OSCR. So talking about the, staying on the Trump train here. This is a Trump-linked stock. We've called this out a little bit, but basically Josh Kushner, Jared's brother, is, I think, the VP of this thing. And, it recently came across the scanners that there was a large insider buy where he bought some stock there. So it got a pop on it, obviously. It got a pop, and then it kind of, oh, this is just under me. It got a pop and then kind of came back down, and then we'll see what happens there. So I was in this with Trade the Pool yesterday. I did this with, some trailing stops, and I also have calls on it. So I pretty much, my personal portfolio, I just sort of full ported calls, including one that expires today. So we are going to see how that goes, but that is definitely one I am watching with close interest. And that will be sort of an example as we talk about options versus or in conjunction with Trade the Pool. So let's see here. BTCT. I know this is one, I did not trade this myself, but I know this has been of high interest here. Alrighty. So this is one I like to use. I'm always breaking this out. The fib channel. I'll just make the overall thing bigger, and I think we'll go to a smaller, like 12-minute candles for some of this. Hey, Emma. The dog is roaming around out there. She found a plastic bottle. That's her new chew toy. Anyone else have animals? Do you have animals that trade with you? You have pets in the room, or twin children, but in some of our cases. But yeah, who trades with their pets, and do the pets ever give you insights? All right. So I like to use the fib channel here because this gives some, and this is kind of in conjunction with these volume candles where the width is corresponding to that, and I think that often provides it actually works well with it. But I can go to like the other thing I'll do is like HA candles, and then I will use the fib channel in conjunction with the HA and just skip the wicks, and that usually gives a really good sense of the trend. So we can see here we were going up, and then not yesterday, day before yesterday is when we really started to lose the momentum, right? If you draw this, you'll see that we were going upward in the channel, right? We came up down to the 78 fib, came up, couldn't quite cover it, but we came down actually all the way. Well, this is the other. Oh, no, here we go. Yeah, if we anchor it here, here, and here, then it actually came back down to the bottom of the channel, retested, and came up. But you'll see this time it didn't actually get, if you look at the body of these HA candles, it didn't get back above this 78 fib. So then we start to be cautious. And now what we see is that it came here and it actually lost the 23 fib right here. So to me, this is potentially, I would say, at least in terms of this move, is kind of lost. Now it might come back up and reclaim. And I will say, what are these guys? What do these guys do? Anyone know their business story here? Technology service, BTC Digital. Is this crypto? To be honest, I have not actually looked at these. Blockchain technology in China. Okay. A fun one. I don't really touch China stocks usually, but yeah, I mean, now with the crypto stuff too, and we saw a little bit of a pullback in crypto generally, but it's been kind of holding, right? And one thing, if my OBS is acting up a little bit, so I'm not able to use it right now. Otherwise, one thing I like to do with these fib channels is I'll actually like rotate them, right? And so that the fib channels are, okay, so it's a minor, cool. So that they're horizontal, and then you get some weird things like the candle going back in time or whatever due to the angles, which that can't happen. But otherwise, it gives you kind of a sense where you start to see it, where you see the levels like as you'd see on just plain fib levels. And this is, when you look at it that way, here's the kind of case where it's got this big old pop, this big old run, comes down, and then it comes back up, and you start seeing like, oh, the momentum's there, but it still feels like it's there. And lo and behold, that was actually kind of the signal. Like if you'd sold here and waited, then you'd have a chance to get in like here or to get in today, and you'd be in a little bit better spot. If nothing else, you'd have the capital freed, or if you are using options, then that's, 2 days of theta decay that you can save yourself. And I actually did this myself yesterday. I was not proud of this, but going back to OSCR for a second. So I actually did pull up their financials and everything too. I think their earnings, they dropped a lot on earnings, and their revenue was actually up. Their earnings were down like a little bit. And it was only a small bit to the downside. And if you look, their cash position was lower, but their long-term investments were higher. Plus, obviously, if they've got the in, or if sentiment-wise the market thinks they're in, I mean, let's be real, people. Everything's running on the Trump trade, Pepe coin, everything else, right? So we'll see. And touching on, so this one though, yesterday is a case where I fell into that same trap. Both with the options and with my trade the pool thing in different ways, right? So I'll touch on this more this afternoon in our session, but we came here, we had this spike. I think I'll go to if I remember, this was even on a low time frame chart here. Yeah, here we go. So that was that same thing, that same type of thing that we were seeing in that diagonal channel. And you'll see it on so many charts, right? Like the famous like anatomy of a bubble chart, even like the South Sea South Sea stock, Isaac Newton, right? For those of you who haven't seen it, like Isaac Newton buys South Sea stock here with some of his money, exits here, he made a little money, he's happy. His friends are making money here, he gets like really jealous or whatever. He goes, he FOMOs his entire like life savings into it right here, and immediately it kind of drops, comes back up. Oh, okay, I think we're doing good, right? Split, right? Then you can still get that split, right? So, and so this here is I believe this one here is the return to normal, right? And if you look at this, the HA candles also make it really clear, right? Because you see like the bodies too, right? This is just a complete rounded top, right? So I was actually just going to the options. I was up $200. I could have taken profit on the one that expires yesterday. I absolutely should have. Like this here should have been my sign, like, you know what, get out while the getting's good. And right now, I'm now down on something I was up a bit on. And I think the longer dated ones are still net green, but having a gain instead of a loss from that one DTE would have been nice. Now on BTCP, right? If we go back and we look at the channels here, right? Like this is on a little bit different time frame, but we see kind of that same thing. We do have a little more of a spike here, but it also gets rejected and just pushed down. And so to me, when I see it like, right, not necessarily like lower lows, but losing consecutive levels. But what we can do is we can also draw this in a couple other directions and see what happens here. So if I do that, like right on a little bit lower time frame, and what do we see here? Again, losing the level. And conversely, if I go down to here, we are using including extended hours. You might get something different. Use this the cash session, right? Okay, so now here we see, all right, it can, within this channel, maybe it can hold this level, right? And if it can do that, then it could push up again. And you'll see a move like that, right? Like you'll see sometimes these things will be in this downward channel, right? But then they pop up out of it. And then if it gets past a certain point where it gets toward the up channel again, right, it might jump back in and start moving with that. It's hard to say. I mean, crypto in general, this last weekend I did that with Dogecoin, right? And I was in some Dogecoin futures, made a little bit of money there. That was nice. And it came back, all my trailing stops and my partials and everything hit, right? I was out. And then I said, you know what? I think this could reclaim. I think there's energy, there's sentiment in the market, right? And, then I didn't actually ride the next level up where it went up, 10, 15 cents per coin. And so, it's the cost. You don't want to lose everything chasing and FOMOing back in. I don't personally, I'm not really touching PTCT. I don't think, but who knows? Today might be different. All right, we are getting close to the open. We've got about 2 minutes left. Let's take a look at that TQQQ. Now, I don't usually look at the levered things here. Future day trader billionaire. Do you like to do your TA? And let's hear it from the chat, folks. Do you like to do your TA if you're trading alone? Yeah, that makes it a little more stark, doesn't it? Do you like to trade the levered vehicle, or do you like to do your analysis on that levered vehicle, or do you like to do it on the underlying? I tend to just go directly and just chart NASDAQ directly, not QQQ, and not because that lets me account for moves that happened in the overnight market. But let's see. I'm again going to do this diagonal. This is on a 12-minute chart, so I mean, this is the last level down. There's a 3618 and then a 423. So I'd say I would allow for it at least to get down to like 7860, 7850, depending where in the day, depending how the day goes, right? If it just wicks down and up. I don't know. I've got a bullish bias, I guess, today. I just keep feeling like the market's not really. So let's back out a little more, and I am going to look at just NQZ4. NQZ. All right, fine. What's their syntax again? All right. So we got the December NASDAQ futures. Pretty much the same thing. I've also got this on logarithmic charts, so it can make a little difference, not much. So I like this. I can look at a 4-hour futures chart. It's got all the overnight, everything else. It's pretty much, it's 23.5. So now I can get a sense of the overall move, and I like to use that for charting. So, right, if I zoom out to kind of see the structure here. All right, so this isn't till. All right, interesting. So we kind of had that down going into the election. And then we've got the spot back up. Hey, the man is back right in time for the open. We need to ring the bell for the arrival.
The boys. Looks like little William hit his head a little bit.
On the revisions, though?
Yeah, looking right now, I agree for greedy, right? At least I'm looking at it, right? And we'll see what happens here. Tim, I know you got a lot. If you want to stick around, you can, but.
Yeah, I'll stick around for a little bit. Why not?
Hey, why not?
So, do you like to look at TQQQ, or do you like to look at QQQ, or do you like to look at the futures? I like to look at the futures because then I can chart including everything that happened with overnight news, the different markets. But
yeah, that's one thing that I gotta say I don't have the experience on, but I definitely want to. If I think about it, I know a lot of guys that are in the futures markets, right? And I can't blame you for looking at that, right? You don't have those gaps that get annoying, that you don't know what the hell happened there. I think it's an important outlook to look at, man. It's something that I'm
sure there's studies out there that say if you do. I'm sure there's some studies out there saying if you do TA, whether or not it whether it makes more sense to include the overnight or not. But
yeah, I think it would make sense at least. I'm looking around out here to see if there's anything else that's getting the move here. Greed down to 330s, guys. So greed, if you got greedy, yeah, not doing that great anymore. All right, guys, we'll see what else is moving out there. I'm looking around to see what's moving here in the overall market. Overall, down she goes right out the gates, down to 502.76. Clean Spark down to 420s, 419. So
there.
taking a hit there. How's BTCT? Oof, down to 18, almost $19. We'll see what happens in Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin was taking a hit, starting to pull back. How's it looking now? We get back above the 90,000. No, we did not. We're pulling back fast. We did for a second there.
Now this is interesting. I did this accidentally, but this is kind of interesting, right? Look at this. What time frame was that? Yeah, hourly, I guess. It drew the. Oh, come on, draw it again. There we go. Look, there's TQQQ, right? It's leading, and look how closely this follows the move, and now they converge, right? So, but I was drawing BTCT.
Ooh, there's a crazy move right now, guys. Crazy move. What's going on with Bloom Energy?
Go ahead.
Bloom Energy. What's up with that? Why is it trading at 19? Is this a stock split? What is going on there? Bloom Energy. I don't know what's going on with this one, guys. There has to be some kind of news on this. What is going on here? I'm looking around. I'm trying to understand what the hell is going on here. My daily chart just looks all over the place because it looks like it was at 13 and now it's $20, and I don't see a stock split mentioned. I'm confused. I'm sure I'm not the only one confused on this.
Procurement agreement to power AI data centers. So, I mean,
man,
something not HA. So
that is a gap if I've ever seen one. That's a huge gap there for Bloom Energy. We'll see what happens. Looks like AI mentions got it hot. Let's just say that much. All right. VIX getting a little jump here. Will the Qs break 500 today? Wait and find out, guys. Wait and find out. Let's keep it going. Let's go. Let's see what else is out there. Doom, 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 doom. 502s, 550s, new low on the Qs, new lows. When there's new lows, you got to go. All right, not looking that good here. Here's one that's making a move. I talked about it in the pre-market, and like always, you know, I missed a little bit of already. BENF, getting a little spike there. Could get all the way up to 3 today, so I like this one. I think you will start seeing some buying start to come in there through that $2 spot. And look at the bid right now, 5,000 shares there down to the $2 spot. I'm looking for an undercut of 2 here. If it can pull back to the 190, I like it here. We'll see what happens here. I'm looking at BENF, BENF. So let's see what happens there. If we start to get the pullback here, now getting a little bit of a pullback. Let's see what happens. There's to the 90s. Now we're going back into the 91, 90 here. Let's see if I can get it a little piece there. Starter on there, 92s. Let's see if I can get a little bit more here back through the $2 spot there. I'll add there. Took 500 shares here. Let's see if we can get back up through the $2 spot there and then really start to see those bids stack up. You see this 190 bid, 5,000 shares there. Won't want it to come back through that level. Back through that 190. He'll get filled and it'll probably go to 180. So looking to see if we can just break 2 here and go straight to the 210. All right, back up there towards that 197, looking good here. Just needs to break back through the $2 spot. It is pulling back a little bit here. Just want the quick move back through the $2 here. The resistance is going to be at 206, about 5,000 shares waiting there, but that's not too much shares there. We can really get going if we get a big buying here through 2. So looking around to see what else is making a move. This is the top one, and also CERO in the penny stocks. That's a 42-cent name, but definitely getting the lift. Snow shorts. All right. Steph talked about BENF there. What do you think about that Disney, man? Crazy action, right?
Yeah, I'm actually in that in my hold on, my whole system. I swear, as soon as not when I went on the stream and not when I
all right, here's $2, guys. Just
not on
adding
the
into
market
that.
open.
Now we're getting a little bit of a pop here. I'm up about $65 here. I want to go ahead and break even at 198 here. Looking for the 206 break here. Back down below 2. I'm just going to break even stop here. Just looking for the nice little push above this 206. I'll have 1,000 shares, and then we're looking gravy here. Let's go. 207, 208, looking good here. Now I'm going to go ahead and just leave the 198 stop for a $5 positive trade, if anything. Now looking for a nice little pop into the green here. Let's see if we can get to 220s, 230s here and really start to get the motor going. 230s, I'll take majority of it out there. That's 295s, $300 there. Let's see if we can get it. Putting it above 230s for the second here, just to see if I can get the pop. 220s is where I see a big wall there. So I'm going to put it out at 218 and try to cash at 218 here. So you guys see me trying to trade these quick trades, right? Especially with the limited account. It's very difficult to kind of hold on to these. And really a $300 winner on this account is really good. So you guys see the trade setup right here on the screen. See the stop loss, see the target profit, and you guys see the wall here. I'll show you it there. Now it's at 215. They moved it slightly from that 218 to 215. I'm going to see if we can get to that 215 and maybe break it here. So I'm putting it up to 230s there. There's 215. You see how it stopped right there when it hit 215. Let's see if it takes it out here and we get the next spike. There's the 220 guy. You see the 220 guy, 23,000 shares there. So 18 would be a nice little cash here. I'll take the 18, 205 and just cash out here. Let's see if we can get it. All right, let's see if we can get this 200 here. I'm going to go ahead and slightly push it up to see if we break the 220s here. Now we're breaking towards it. Now I'm raising the stop loss to guarantee some win here. I'm going to go towards 145. Now we're towards 223s here. Looking good here to see that continued lift off. Now I'm looking to just go ahead and take the cash here. I got 195 on the bid there. Boom. Now you guys are seeing me do the fast trading there. I tried to really set up there for the bigger push out through the 230s, right? I didn't get it. I did pull back and get stopped out there on the pullback. I did make 190 on that though. That's what I wanted to do there, right? I gave myself the shot there. All of a sudden, if it was like at 250, oh yeah, I would have taken the money and ran, right? I mean, not a bad, $400, $500 trade, but set up there for the move. Nice little quick trade here in BE and F. Now I could still trade in this, right? Looking for 9 EMA pullbacks. It still looks great. Still looks great. Could keep running here. There's the 230s now. Look at the strength that's coming into this. This is one of those stocks that I talked about in the pre-market. This is that type of name that I could see that guy Ross Cameron trading, right? So you saw the picture I sent you, Tim?
In the
on WhatsApp.
yeah.
That's Ross Cameron with some of his penny stocks that he was trading yesterday. And it's kind of funny because there's especially that GXAI that he traded. I could see him on the tape. I could see him on the tape, man. I'm telling you, I was saying it. I was like, there's this repeat seller in the 230s, 240s. And where was he? He was in at like 214. So he was just letting it go up there, 15, 20 cents, selling it, bringing it back, buying it, selling it, bringing it back, buying it, selling it. And he made that exchange a couple of times. There's Ben F back there, came back to the VWAP, reloaded off the 210s, came off $2 there and held $2. So could come right back up towards the 240s here. I'm watching it, guys. The key is the VWAP is right above it right here, the 220s. So what I'm looking for is I took for that first cash moment. Now I want to see some of the bulls get in some trouble. Maybe a quick dip towards 190 and then that recovery back through 2. BE at 18, pulling back today. Looking at GRE here. That's at $3, man. That thing really dropped. All right, guys, first trade in here, cashed on the limited. Guys, I'm at 746. Moving on the limited, guys. Moving on the limited. Trying my best, man, to get that funded, man. We got to get that funded account already here and see what I can do with it. Right, Tim? We got to make that cash.
Well, you had a monster the other day, right? That you were trying to hold on by the tail of that tiger, right?
No, literally held on by the tail. I had what was it? I think at one time it was up like $1,700 in the limited account, but I didn't want to cash it.
Yep. Oh,
Guys,
here we go.
we got to know our rules, right? We got to know our rules and stick to those rules, man. Because if not, you can easily get run over or make a mistake like I did, right? Where I should have taken profits. Eventually did take profits, but like always, guys, you want to make sure you know where your out is, and that sometimes, hey, don't miss those outs because it gets very frustrating when you do. All right, guys, seeing that Ben F come right back down. Now SPLL showing up there. SPPL. So of course this one was.
By the way, Disney. Here we go. I just shared it. But yeah, I had this in my trade the pool account here.
You're up, my friend.
Yep. Yeah. So I grabbed this. I grabbed it right here, and this one here is the web-based one, just in case you guys are curious about that. But yeah, I grabbed it right here at 5:30 this morning. I was actually just testing something for a trader. I think it was just on his system. He just had a little glitch with a different ticker, but yeah, wow, look at that. Here we go. So that's a nice little gain. And what I'm going to start doing is actually putting in here some trailing stops. And I don't really love let me see here. I'll actually give it a try here. We'll see. I do.
All right, guys. Netflix down big to start the day, and I felt like that one was going to get a little bit of a pullback. That's that. We're going to call it the Tyson drop, or are we going to call it the Paul drop on that one? I don't know. I don't know. You watching that fight today? You interested in that, Tim?
No, not really following it too bad. I mean, I was holding out for the Elon Musk and Zuckerberg cage match, and when that didn't happen, I kind of like, yeah. But
dude,
so what I'm
this is where I think they got it wrong. When that happened, Tim, you know what needed to happen, right? They needed to bring back Celebrity Deathmatch. The MTV show Celebrity Deathmatch with the, what was it? I think it was like Clay or something that they would do those shows with. Man, I'll tell you one thing. That would have been the move, right? Just like even an AI fight. Someone create like the AI fight for this, right? Like whatever it is, we want to watch it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So what I've done here is I just put a bunch of trailing stops at basically spaced out according to Fibonacci intervals there. So I like to do that just because that'll scalp some of them. I don't think I like that. I think I'm going to do these with a multiplier of 10 here. So let me go ahead and I'm actually setting up this web trading one a little bit today, a little bit more than I had it here.
Down she goes in the Qs, guys, down to 501.50. So really downside action. The interesting part, VIX down with this action. Now that gets confusing, man. We've had some confusing action in the VIX lately, guys. And I think a lot of that was that's more option expiration coming into play, things like that, right? We all know how people buy the VIX for protection. That's something to look at. But Q's down, almost down towards the Trump Open. Like what I mean by the Trump Open, the day after the elections, it was right around 501, 500. You're going right to that right now. So we'll look to see if we finally get some kind of bounce in the market, but it doesn't look good.
I just need OSCR to bounce. It's catching, but it's not doing much of anything. And there we go. So now these almost cover the entire thing. So these are all spaced out with Fibonacci levels. So you can see it's going to take quickly these trailing stops if there's a little retracement, and then the rest of the position it'll kind of run. So
oil leading the action
as well.
Oil,
so, man, what is going on here? I didn't even follow their earnings enough, but what? My goodness.
So yeah, banks doing really well. JPM up almost a full % already out the gates, guys. I talked about this before the open, how JPM got a raise, and what happens in this historically during the Trump administration. What did we see in 2016? We started to see technology fade off. We started to see some healthcare names fade off, and that's why you're seeing healthcare at the bottom today. I talked about this yesterday, how you could really start to see some of these healthcare names crack. Take a look at the XLV this morning. Big breakdown from 144 down there towards 142.80s. And this is all about the big names like Lilly, all these big names with JFK Jr. in the role that he's in, he's going to come after these names. And look at that. Merck down to 95. This is an opportunity that most are missing. Short trades on healthcare. And the reason why is because of that, because he's going to go after the big names. The small names could still get a lift, like Hims, right? And Hims is actually even pulling back on this. So we'll see what happens. I think right now you're seeing the destruction in healthcare, and it's a quick one.
Hims took a hit too, right? Because Amazon rolled out. Now that's not in conjunction with Hims, right? Is that their own thing? Because I thought Hims was who. I honestly thought Hims was who's doing One Medical. Because when you went in One Medical, it used to offer, hey, you can talk to us about hair loss stuff. It was the same visual style as Hims. I honestly thought it was like done by Hims, but maybe not.
This is interesting. I mean, look at Moderna, guys. Moderna could be in the single digits soon. And that's crazy to think, because Moderna was $500 in the pandemic, right? 500, and it's going to be single digits. That's crazy to think, right? I mean, what are we talking about?
If RFK Jr. actually comes in, and then depending on what he does or doesn't uncover, and what, how that does or doesn't play out, right? I think we could see like either the destruction or a total resurgence of all these mRNA stocks, right? So if you're a believer in the technology, like that could be an opportunity. But
the key there, though, is of course it's the bigger price ones. The reason why they're bigger price is that they make the money, right? They're high expenditures on that, right? Whether it be like, let's say Eli Lilly with their weight loss drug. Why did it go to 900, 1,000? Well, it was because they were charging an insane amount for that, right? And they're not going to be able to do that anymore. So the fundamentals can get cut down overnight, essentially. And when fundamentals can get cut down overnight, that's when you see the biggest stock moves, right? So that's a very important action today to catch. I talk about these because these are what I call about sector and industry-wide moves, right? Where it's not one stock going down, it's 5, 10 names going down. It's a whole ETF like the XLV, right? You can even look at, let's say like BIB, right? The Biogen, the biotech. Look at this. Look at BIB, right? That's ugly. Wow. That is ugly turn. This is what's not being talked about, but trust me, I promise you'll turn on CNBC later today around noon. This is what's going to be talked about. So this is what I would tell you guys to really pay attention to. Another thing
watch
to pay
Money
attention
Mitch on
to,
Trade the Pool in the morning. They write their show in the late morning, and then on lunch they come on and say what you've been saying.
You know how it is, man. And you guys didn't see Kramer. What did Kramer start talking about yesterday? Oh, the playbook. The playbook. Where did he catch the playbook at?
Right.
You know it, right? I mean, trade the pool, guys. Trade the pool.
Well, I don't know if I want Kramer adopting anything I like. Come to think of it, he's got.
I know it got me scared. It got me scared. It's like when Kathy used to buy my stocks. I used to be like, "Oh my God, Kathy, the omen's on me." Kathy, the omen, man. Oh man, it's nasty out there.
How's Art doing lately? Anyway, I don't even.
This is the one that I'd look at for potential downside. This is those nasty charts where they look really bullish on the daily, and then all of a sudden now, because of the situation that's happening, look bearish. Those are the ones that you can get caught the most in. So like even like this Summit Therapeutics, remember how this one was holding on and looking like really bullish? It can be right back at $10 real soon. So watch those healthcare names. It's an interesting one to watch for sure. All right, let's go back to Ben EF here, looking at the action out there to see if maybe we get some lift back into this name. I talked about how it could go and wash out some names through the 190 and then start to come back. Let's see if we make the comeback now. So was able to sell on that first rip, and now I'm going to look to see if the strength comes back to the name.
Let's see here.
SPPL holding the 147. Man, that greed, that was definitely, they need to change this ticker name. It needs to be greed. Because I don't care what anybody says, man. With an open like that, this needs to change its ticker name to greed. Because if you were greedy, man, at that $4 cut here at 919 when it was looking like it was going to rip through the moon, and then you held through that open, that's why I didn't get in on that $4 lift. I hate holding stocks, penny stocks, right at the open. I like to cash them in pre-market if I got in pre-market. That's one thing that I'll give you guys. That I can tell you that right now from experience, at least from myself. If I'm in pre-market, I'm trying to cash in pre-market. Because when that liquidity comes in, this can happen. That quick drop, right? Because once the liquidity comes in, then you can get some big buyers and all of a sudden, or a big short, and this trade can turn. That's why pre-market setups and open market setups are so important, and why I like to pay attention to the sectors and industries. What? From the pre-market action? No, from the open. Is the reason why. Because it could look ugly in the pre-market, and all of a sudden in the open, it's ripping like energy right now. XOM, I've talked about this morning how it was trying to get through 122 just a couple days ago. Look at the prop up on this. And if there's any names that are going to get a nice little push in the oil space because of Trump, it's Chevron and Exxon. So right now you're seeing what? Chevron holding well on that 162. Oil leading the upside action. What else are you seeing leading upside? Financials. Those are the two areas that I like for Trump trade moving forward, right? And if you're looking at Trump trade to the downside, it's technology and it's healthcare. And those are the names that are getting hit the hardest. What could turn around maybe to the upside later in the day? I'd take a look at industrials. They are down right now, but look at the chart, look at the hourly, holding well. This is another area that could do well in a Trump trade. So maybe take a look at CAT as a leader, showing you the upside coming back in industrials today. That's what I'd be watching for.
Cool. Well, I just did hop into OSCR again as well, so we'll see how that plays out.
Oscar.
If they're
I'll call
bottom, we'll see if that was the bottom.
You're an Oscar, bro?
Or if that is just a bear flag, you know. But yeah, I'm just finishing laying out my thing. So here's something I like to do if I'm space constrained, right? I can make this window wider. What I'm going to actually do is I can actually take out the symbol column, right? We talk about this more on the Discord. We've got some videos and all that, but like I can even take out the date and time if I want, right? But I don't need it's more dramatic. I don't need the trading exchange or symbol type ever, right? But now I can get this fit in a nice vertical thing. The web-based, I want to follow up and see if we can get them to show the totals. But if you're on the desktop and you do this, then you'll just get a nice little summary of the, and of course here I can just say the side can just be B and S, BS. And there we go. And on the desktop one, there's a nice little summary of your P&L per ticker, but I can at least go here and I believe I can get it. Oh, no, this works. Cool. I don't think it did. They may have added that. Awesome. So yeah, now I can see my profit for the day per ticker. And yeah, it's in Palantir in the pre-market. That didn't really go, but
yeah, I have that always clicked on because if not, I get so confused. Yeah. With like different accounts, it get confusing real quick. FSIL doing well today, guys. We'll see how that one continues to move. And of course, if you're trading FSIL, you're talking kind of your fuel cell, energy, your hydrogen names. So you can take a look to see if Plug gets a little bit of a lift later. But FSIL trying to break 880s today with some restructuring news that was out there. BE coming back, that Bloom Energy. I don't know about this one, man. It made an insane move, but this thing loves a trend in both areas. Had a crazy spike this morning on the opening action towards like kind of 22s. We'll see what happens on BE, Bloom Energy. Disney might get us another breakout. Hey, doesn't look too bad. I'll tell you one thing. Disney was interesting. Did you see how Iger made that mention of the subscribers for their ads?
No, but I'm real interested. I was heavily following that whole situation. I was trading Disney was one of my like everyday tickers, and I was kind of heavily following. For a little while they were they may have already had to recapitulate, but they were kind of pumping. They were kind of being a little misleading on their subscriber count for Disney Plus, if I remember correctly. And
so Iger
they had their bond issues and other stuff.
Iger made a boo-boo on the earnings call. Who knows if he did this on purpose or not, but he gave out information. Yeah, he gave out information he wasn't supposed to, which was 35% of subscribers for Disney Plus are on the ad tier. So normally they give us what? They give us the active the active rate. All right. I think it's like the APRU or something like that. I think they call it. So it's pretty much the active users, right? Versus giving you how much is on the advertisement, how much is on the regular plan, right? So, but he let it slip. And then right after he let it slip, what's interesting was go ahead, Tim.
Well, if only 30, you said 35% are on the ad tier, right?
Yeah.
So that means that 65% are actually like paying out of pocket for the higher thing. So to me, that's kind of positive for them, honestly. Like,
yeah, it could be viewed as a positive thing. I think what was interesting was after he said it, the CFO started speaking, right? Because it was his turn, right? So he starts speaking, and then you hear Iger in the background. He was like, "Oh, I don't think I was supposed to give that information."
Yeah, all right. I needed to figure out whether I got to wear tinfoil if that was play acting or what that was, but that's cool. There was a streamer that I had watched some of his stuff, and he's got all kinds of takes that are kind of out there, different things. But this guy, Legal Mindset, he had done some dives into the Disney bond situation and kind of their liability, and he pretty much nailed dead on how things were going to go with the special district, because he was a Florida special district lawyer. And of course, you and I, you're in Florida. I used to live in Orlando. So, the special districts are all over. It's interesting. But apparently their bonds, they have some liability there as well, tax liability. So
Netflix, what a call, man. I should have been trading Netflix today in the main account. Got destroyed in BTCT this morning. But, man, Netflix, what a call there. Nice turnaround there to the downside off the 830 number. Good cut down there in Netflix. I'm seeing right now, remember I told you how the VXX was down, yet the market was down, and that was not common? Well, look, it's coming back into play now. Now you're seeing the VIX spike, right? And so it gave it a chance there for some buyers to jump off the 44s. And look at the Qs now, down to 501.11. So disaster station as things just get wiped out on the downside. AMAT had horrible earnings, but that's actually starting to come back. That's where it's so interesting. That's where it's like, holy moly, what is dragging us here? It's that bad. NVIDIA's down big. Apple's down big. Microsoft's down. Google's down. Meta's down. All the big boys. The only one that's kind of up a little bit is Tesla, but a lot of these are all on the downside. Adobe down almost 2.5%, down to 507 from an opening price of 522. That's a big hit there on Adobe.
When you think about Disney, bearded appliance repair. The Disney, another breakout. Like, I was wondering if I wanted to flip short, and here we go. It's pushing again. So
what happens in the overall market now, especially as it's been dragged the first, let's say, 30 minutes just straight down. Very rare action on the upside today. That's not what you want to see, at least out there. Even XOM starting to pull back because it's so heavy on the downside. JPM pulling back. Even the banks are starting to pull back now because it's such on the downside. Now let's see if for any reason we get a quick sweep back to the upside, but it's going to be an important level to hold, this 501.
Yeah. Man, Disney could have room up to 115, honestly. That'd be pretty crazy. With this pop.
Disney. Yeah, Disney was an interesting one, man. It's one that I definitely should have swung trade. We were looking at it at like 96 and was looking for the 100 cut, and it was there. I think Target's looking a lot better, man. That's one thing I wanted to tell you before you came on, but I was talking about it. Target's actually looking better. I know that might be crazy to sound and hear, but I think it's really starting to look better. And I think if it can clear 160, you're looking really good on that chart. I think you've seen in the last, like, let's say since September, decent amount of volume accumulating at 150. That tells me institutional action on that 150. So
Yep.
when you get these like kind of bounces where, you know, the retail starts buying 160, the institutions like just bring it back to 150. I'm going to load in the boat here. So that's exactly what's going on here. You see this area, as long as it can hold in this area, I feel like this is institutional buying into this area. So what you got to look for to see is either I want to jump in and join the party with them down there, or you need to see it take out the high and take out this area in the 160 and start to take off. That will tell you that they have it, right? And so that's what I start to look for. What I'd be looking for is volume. Are we getting volume increase into the recent rally? And that's exactly what we're getting. You see how the volume is now starting to increase on the daily. Like every day we're starting to trade more shares. Why? Institutional action, man. When I see stocks that don't move, but the volume's increasing, that tells me either somebody wants in or institutional action. So of course we don't know the exacts here, but tells me that it's getting the interest from investors. All right, getting a question in the chat here, and I think this one might be better suited for you, Tim. I think it has to do with the futures. So definitely, I don't look into the future. So my man Tim does look into the futures. So what's going on here? Let's see this question. I think it's a little bit long here, but I'll read it for you. Would you say that there's a difference between futures and stock when it comes to day trading? Coming from futures, I traded pretty decently, but some moves are crazy and I get destroyed.
So I would say, like, yes. And the funny thing is I was just recording some video for some content we have coming out about this exactly this morning. So so I would say yes and no. I'll give a couple answers, but real quick while I'm leading into it, bearded appliance repair. Are you saying that you trade the futures decently but get destroyed, or you're saying you came from futures and you're doing okay on the stocks but getting destroyed, or what's the scoop there? I would say there's some similarities, right? Like supply and demand, right? Like the same chart formations pretty much. A big difference is, just the session, right? The U.S. cash session, right? 9:30 to 4 is pretty key for the stocks. And then also when the London market closes. Obviously that matters too to Forex and futures, but a lot of the moves in stocks are really concentrated on that. Oh, and the other thing is, are you talking about futures generally as an instrument, or are you talking about like index futures? Like what kind of futures do you trade? So one thing you want to keep in mind on the futures, right, is you've got they're called roll weeks, right? When one contract is expiring. So a lot of people will have, a position just long or short on the front month. And so they'll reverse that and then enter the same on the next month. So you get a lot of volatility there. Okay, yeah, futures NQ and ES, yeah. So I mean, that's that. We were kind of talking about that initially, right? Like the NQ versus like QQQ, for example. And yeah, there's similarities and differences. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, the futures have a more. I would say if you're only trading 1 month, if you're not worrying about spreads, then some of the mechanics don't matter. But you do want to be aware of those kind of big weeks. Because you can get a lot of action around futures expiration, and then you get what's called like the triple witching and stuff, where you get like, stock options expiring, you get futures expiring, and sometimes you get VIX expiring as well, right? So you can have these weeks where it's just people shifting their positions around, and it can look like a big move, especially as liquidity leaves 1 month and goes to the other. Yeah, leverage, right? Like NQ. I would say if you're depending on what you're in, if you're in like a funded versus a personal, and I guess how much capital you have to throw at it, NQ is a pretty wild one, and I don't really touch NQ at all. MNQ, right? You can look at that. So if you're doing something in ES or NQ, you might look at MES or MNQ. You can also look at M2K, which is the micro Russell 2000s. And, that's pretty much 10, depending on the commissions, right? But like if you, then you have the granularity. You get 10, 10 for the price of one, basically. Same P&L roughly, but then you can trim in smaller increments, right? But yeah, are you looking at the calendars and stuff? That's probably a key thing. Trying to think of what else is really the other thing is just being aware of the time frames, right? Because they trade overseas, and that's where I think on the indices as well you can compare them, right? So you've got the overnight action, right? Like 6 till 8, 9, 10 later is pretty dead. Like 3 a.m. US time, like 3 a.m. New York time to, I would say, 11:30 New York time is a really hot time when everything's kind of in conjunction, right? Because you got US market, London market, so you've got Forex, you've got futures, you've got stocks, and that's when all the liquidity is right there. And of course, that key time, that hour or two after the US Open, that pretty much is that that key time.
CELU taking off there, coming out of a halt off of the 375 push, a 370 push. So it's back down below $3, looking at it a little bit to see if it can come back through $3 on the upside of things, maybe go for a second halt. But taking a look out there to take a look to see if there's any biotech or something like that that's making a nice little big move, can make another cash here on the limited account. We'll see if this starts to come back there. It's holding the 280. This is about the area that I thought it could hold, the 280s. I didn't think 270, so it did hit 270 there. So just looking to see if we can actually get some real buying around the 280s coming back through 3.
Yep. And bearded appliance repair, I saw a follow-up. Yeah, passed many challenges on Top Step and Apex, just can't get a payout. So I don't know if that, I know Apex has some kind of subjective rules for the payouts, so I hope you're not running into those difficulties. But yeah, that's a common thing. We have traders running into that here as well. And I have accounts, like, I'll tell you what, I had accounts prior, and I would get to the funded stage and blow them. And then I have, funded accounts, futures accounts that I had to reset a few times. And we have traders, trade the pool traders, who will pass the challenges and then have that difficulty, right? And it's tough sometimes. It's funny because like some of the things out there have the 2-stage evaluation, right? I think Fibers has that as well on their similar program, right? And so the second stage is like you get twice as long, you only have to make half as much. Like it's really, if you manage to make it through the first stage, it's kind of yours to not screw up. And it's hard not to screw it up sometimes, because then you're like, it's a combination, you're like really getting close to that goal. And it's a really common thing, like you see this as well, going from paper trading to live trading. And it's different when it's for real, right? It's there's that thing, and you just gotta we chat about that a lot on our mindset weeks on our Discord. So next week we'll be leaning heavily into the mindset stuff, but we've got a lot of resources in the mindset channel. But it really is just a very common challenge going to real money or a funded actually you've passed and now you're in a funded account, right? Like now it's for real. And the trick is really just you got to just focus on the trades, man. Like you can't let it get to you, right? You got to get that flow state. I don't know. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I think it's important. One of the things I always talk about, and it's talked about often with, of course, Mark Douglas is in the zone book, right? And what I talk about is that traders are always in and out of the zone. And so this is very important to think about. Just think about it. It's like athletes, right? Sometimes they just get hot, right? And like when they're hot, they just swing, they hit the ball, literally. It's like that sometimes. And I think that that's what you need to be looking for, right? Is that understanding that you have your own wave, like an equity wave, right? There's moments when you're riding high and there's moments when you're riding low. If you can understand your personality and understand your data, that's the most important thing. There's going to be times when your strategy is not working and you're forcing it. You're forcing it, giving up money. You guys can clearly see me doing that right now in the main account. So
well, you've got an extra challenge, right? Because you've got to show some action for that. You got to be doing something, right? So
yeah, that puts a little bit more weight on me. But I like to not make it an excuse, right, Tim? As much as
exactly.
I could make it an excuse, I'm not going to make it an excuse because I choose to hit the button, and if I choose to hit the button, well, then the trade's on, right? Regardless of anything that happens after that, right?
Yeah.
So I think what's important is understanding that, because that's why I talk about it so often, about the brake and the gas pedal thing, that reference that you give, that I tell you guys all the time, because there's times when you're hot, when you're in the zone, you're focused, you're seeing things happen, the price action, everything around you, it seems like it's just clicking. It's just like boom, 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 firing off, firing off, firing off. But then there's always going to be that moment when you start to take that hit back down and you start to see that things are just not working. What most traders do in that one moment is what costs them their account. What do? They try to fight the present moment, the present telling them that they don't have it right, that their timing is off and they're wrong. So what do? They tell themselves, I am not wrong. My timing is not off here. And I'm going to instead push it. The complete opposite of what you should be doing at that moment is understanding that you are off. Your timing is a little bit off, that you're no hero. And now it's time to go ahead and downsize. Take a couple days of some, risk avoidance. But really what you're doing is capital preservation, which is the number one game in trading, right? At the end of the day, it's not about losing money and then waiting for the right moments to make a lot of money. That's what I feel like trading's about. Some traders,
and especially when you get to that funded stage, right? Like if you've got the funded account,
right?
There's 2 points, right? Number one, you don't have the time pressure. Even for those programs out there that have like the subscription or the fees or whatever, Trade the Pool doesn't have that. There's no ongoing fees or anything once you're funded. And it's a little different than when you're trading with real money in your personal account, because if you're looking to do it to make your income, to make your living that way, well, in your personal account, there's some pressure because potentially you're working with a limited amount of funds. So you have to work to bring it in, so you get your income. It's still counterproductive, right? But the pressure makes a little more sense. If you've got a funded account that you've passed, right, and there's not that time pressure, right? Like, live to fight another day. I think that's the key thing. And what you said is key. Like when you talk about like not fighting the present moment, like Randy Howell, like one of my gurus on this, like he talks about the phrase that the present moment, right, a lot. And he talks about how it affects your I thought you were going a different direction but he talks about how it showcases your beliefs about yourself, right? And your beliefs about can you handle it, right? So it kind of messes with your head in another direction, because you start thinking like, oh, do I even know what I'm doing, right? Am I an imposter? All those kind of different things.
They call it the self-limiting beliefs.
You want to prove like, no, I know what I'm doing. Watch this, right?
No, hold on. You have to let go I'm the hero here. I'm the hero here. Yeah, this is my game. I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
And you can get in that pressure too. If you showed people your certificate from when you passed, right? Then you want to follow it up with say, look at all the money.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's why you don't put up your wins and losses every single day, man. It's going to put too much pressure on you to go ahead and make the next trade your winning trade, right? That's why I try to sometimes tell you guys to maybe look at goals in more of a weekly, monthly approach, right? And that's what keeps you a little bit more sane, because when the pressure comes and you're red on one day, you think that you need to be green on that one day. The truth is you're going to have red days this week. Can you manage those red days and make gas on those green days, right? That's what it's about, man.
Yep.
I'll tell you guys, the self-limiting beliefs though, the one thing that you mentioned there about self-limiting beliefs is 100% true. As soon as you get into those points, you're going to get into those situations. This has to do a lot with psychology and how people react in, like, let's say, decision-making moments, right? Some of us, we go into, it's either fight or flight, right? And so what happens is you actually get into those moments a lot of times in trading where you feel like you either You're just like getting destroyed. You're like, everything's against me right now. That's flight. That's flight mentality in your head, right? And then there's the fighter. Also, the one, oh, I'm just going to keep longing. More shares, more shares, more shares, more shares. What you really got to understand is that the present moment, it's telling you something, and I cannot fight what's in the present. There's a reason why they call it a present. It's a gift to you, man. And we all have the gift of being in the now, in the present moment. What is that? It's paying attention to what's around you and happening. That's what trading's a lot about, is paying attention to what's happening around me, right? What stocks are moving, what stocks are trading well, right? And how I'm going to react when that moment happens, when the decision moment comes. If you can stay focused on what's happening versus what's in your head, in the present, in the past, that's what's going to keep you at your top, what we call peak performance. So that's all you're trying to do, is to be in peak performance mode every single day.
Yep. And just like, I talk about, or we talk, it comes up, like sometimes it's a joke, sometimes serious, but like doing TA on your P&L, right? Like watch out for those points where your momentum is fading, right? Because then you get that temptation to start spiking it. And that's where you get a rejection, right? Like down to another level, then you try to reclaim it. Like, no, hold on, take it easy. But like what I love that the phrasing you said about it being a gift, because it really is like, actually two things. First, like, fight or flight, like, and there's again, some of those materials that we watched, the Randy Hall stuff, he talks a lot about that. There's neurological and biological reasons for that. So one thing you can do is actually, we've had people on this show before who talked a lot about the breathing, and that can really, if you keep an eye on your breathing and your as you go, make sure you're breathing deeply, slowly, smoothly. Because if you're hyperventilating, shallow breaths or whatever, that's going to affect your perception when you look at the screen of the risk there, right? And as far as it being a gift, like, I think that's great, and it's this is kind of a pretty awesome life if you do it. And I think most of us are doing this because we enjoy it, right? Like, or you stumbled into it and found you're really good at it. Or, it's just like I love markets. I love all this stuff. I love just kind of like dangling my, I think it came from Alex Jones, that crazy weirdo buddy. Talks about like having his fingers in the stream, letting everything flow past. And he doesn't really filter it, but that analogy stuck with me of like, you just got all this news and stuff going in the markets. You see things playing out in the chart, and it's just fascinating. Like every day you can learn something new about what in the world affects what else, right? And if you're here because you enjoy it, right? Like you should be enjoying it. Like every day that you get to trade is another day. Don't try to rush past it. Don't try to skip like the work of trading because you want to get the payout, right? Like
100%.
You're here to trade, so make good trades.
Yeah. And then understand that at the end of the day, you're gonna get into these battles. Like I talked about it. It's all about understanding that there's levels to this game and there's waves. Understanding when your wave is working for you and working against you is very important. The best traders, they know when things are not working and they don't push it. They just wait. They just get patient. They say, let me start seeing my strategy work before I just spend money. Right? There's always what I talk about is how much pain are you willing to take? And that's what you need to be asking yourself also. When you're starting to get those red days and they're coming in order, like, 2-3 red days in a row, there's a reason why. Your strategy is just not working probably at that moment. Strategies come in and out of favor. It's how you go ahead and manage it when it's out of favor that's really going to determine your amount of profit. Right. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of traders get it twisted. They know that the things are not working for them, and instead they just keep trying to make it happen. Like we talked about yesterday. Remember how yesterday's action in the market just kept, like, it even did it to me. And I was telling you guys, I was trying to be patient, and it just kept doing it. Kept trying to trigger shorts, kept trying to trigger longs, trigger shorts, trigger longs. The algos will do this all day to you. And then the next thing you know, you overtrade. And then finally the move gets made. But when you have no more ammo left to trade.
Yep.
And so don't let that be what happens to you, right? Understand that there's some days, if you're just not feeling the market, why the hell are you here?
Yeah. And you know, like I think, I mean, there's a lot of traders that are, there's a lot of, it's a challenging profession, right? And I think it's
It's one of
important
the
to admit that,
hardest.
right? Like there's a lot of hard
It's a
work that
professional
goes into
sport.
it.
It's a professional
Right?
sport.
Especially
Like
in the funded accounts, the way that they're set up logistically. Like, yeah, we're literally
this is
pro.
going into the NFL really quickly.
I'm a hopeful. Literally in this account, I'm a hopeful pro myself. But you know, pro esports athlete. But you know, like it's challenging. And one of the things that I think a lot of people drop out and find something else to do is not necessarily like a technical challenge, and not necessarily they don't understand it, but like a lot of trading is really like looking at yourself and realizing how you know, again, Randy Howell uses the phrase like your capability of handling uncertainty. And a lot of people realize like they can't handle that, right? And I think it's one thing to say, oh, okay, like this is not, I mean, if it's not for you, it's not for you, that's fine. But a lot of people also like, trading really forces you to look in the mirror, and you're really dealing with a lot of your own, you know, your own past, your own kind of demons, your own weaknesses. And you have a choice. Are you going to just run away from them, or are you going to hone it? And I think that situation you describe where the market is telling, again, like you're getting feedback, right? You can listen to it or not, but you're getting feedback like what you're doing is not working. And that can really easily trigger that that feeling, right? Like, but it has to work because this is all I have, right? Like that scarcity mentality. And that's why I think it's so important to learn to trade different things, like Bearded Appliance Repair is doing. Like, yeah, I'm going to look for more instruments, right? So that's what's great with Trade the Pool. You can through different ETPs, you can trade commodities, you can trade currencies, you can trade indices, you can trade all kinds of stuff. But trying different strategies, you know, it builds that skill, not just of, oh, what if the market character changes and like, do I have a strategy ready? But it builds the skill set of that meta skill of being able to go around and develop a strategy, right? And if you have that, then you're not going to have the worry of like, what'll I do? This strategy is all I have. Like, okay, so what? I'll get another one, right? And Marcus Aurelius, he has a great quote. You know, he says like, don't be concerned, because the skills that brought you to now safely, like you're going to use those to your advantage next time as well. Like you have the same skills, you have the same abilities. You can use them next time, just like you did to get to here. You know, it's not like you finally found the one like little precious jewel and now you have it and you can't let it go away, right? A skill is different, and that's something that you carry with you and you build on even. So I really encourage everyone, like, learn as much as you can, like enjoy the process, go out and learn even the things that you're not trading, all the factors that affect the market. Even if you just trade the chart, go out and learn about the news, go ahead and learn about the market mechanics, look at the balance sheets at least once in a while, so you know what a headline means, you know, and you never know when it'll come in handy also.
See, downside today, man. And today's one of those days where this story that we're telling you about right now, a lot of traders and not having the ammo. Guess what I like to trade all the time? See, it's right on the screen, right? VXX,
oh,
guys.
Yep.
And, normally I'm
Speaking
trading
of volatility,
holding with what? Holding with what? With 1,000. I've traded it this week with 2,000 shares, right? If I would have traded it today, guess what? It's a $2,000 winner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what it is, right? Instead, what happened? I got way too antsy in the down action that was yesterday, the frustrating action, all the back and forth action. And guess what? Now I'm missing the trade. And what normally happens will frustrate any trader, right? Because you trade something, you trade something, you trade something, you trade something, then you don't trade something, and it does the move you're looking for. Classic time when you get frustrated and you look back and you're like, man, should have just been doing the same thing sometimes. Processed approach, guys. It's what gets us to move forward. The truth is, nobody knows what's going to happen. The only thing you can do is find some kind of process to stick to. Palantir coming back a little bit today. We'll see what happens on that one. That one's definitely starting to fade, guys. It did do a nice little opening action, but I think you're starting to top out in Palantir. I think you're definitely starting to reach the topping action. Now, of course, this is way too early in the action to see the turn, but I'd keep an eye out on that one if you're kind of like big and bullish on Palantir. It's just been tough.
What's going on Colgate real quick here? That's like
Colgate-Palmolive. Strong action. XLP is one of the ones that I talked about today with a really nice setup on the daily. So you can see it here on the daily. It's had a lot of volume the last couple of kind of like a week or two. So I think this is starting to get some bets on consumer staples. So if you think about that, you Colgate-Palmolive there. Tyson was one that I was watching to see if it can continue the strength. Why I think this one could happen is that, of course, if we're going to be, taking away different things in our food systems and things like that, well, that could actually cause prices for chicken, prices for poultry to actually spike through the roof, right? If we're going to actually be changing the way that the health system works, right? You guys heard with JFK Jr., some of the things that he wants to do, that could cause inflationary pressures to these kind of farm products. So I'm keeping an eye on that as ways that they could get a little bit of a spike there. So ADM would be one to look at. Archer Daniel Midland, you can see it's up also. So. Now Palantir getting a little lift there. Qs, well, they finally bounced. They went down all the way to 500. So we've washed out the Trump trade completely. The Trump trade that everybody was talking about, it's done. This is where we started from. Look where we're at now. We're below it, right? So that trade is done.
Well, you get that little undercut, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you can do the undercut, but essentially
we're down to 61 or even more, right? I mean, so it's
the key there is the technical analysis part of it. The technical analysis says that you shouldn't focus on those trends anymore. When you get a full 100% retracement, technical analysis says that trend is dead. Like, don't stop paying attention to it. Like, oh, these are levels where we can come back to, because essentially what you did was you washed out all those bulls, right? They could still be holding at, let's say, maybe they had 500 and they held it all the way back there. But majority of bulls are out on this, right? And then they'll look to get back in. So I think that's what we need to be watching now. When can we recover?
The wise ones are patient.
So now we got to look
like that joke or that parable about the bulls, right? Like the two bulls going down they see all the cows down there and they like,
yeah.
So, the smart ones are patient, like they're not going to, if you're going to try out those levels, put a wide stop and just do a small kind of teaser position. And
it's a tough one. It's a tough one today.
More than likely, like when I've honestly, when I draw out, like my techniques are pretty good, and every time I second guess and I'm like, oh no, it's catching here, it's catching early when I drew a level down there. Like if I'd have waited till what I drew on the chart, like I would have been great. But that's not what I did.
Looking around to see if I can get one more trade on here, guys. It's almost 10:30 here. It's Friday though, guys. Definitely Fridays can be
Disney
wicked.
is just going again. Affirm. I'll look at Affirm. Look at Disney though. This is crazy. Yeah. 115 for Disney. Honestly, we could hit it. Not
Affirm ripping too. Upstart could get a little move on that, and you see Upstart already pushing there with that Affirm move. So Upstart and Affirm trade very similar. You got to know the relationships out there, guys. It's so important to know relationships. Like what stock trades with the other stock. It's going to help you guys find some moves and be maybe late to the move, but still catch a move. That's why I think it's important, right? Like, so let's say like this morning, Alcoa was getting the push. CENX is now getting the push, right? This wasn't moving in the pre-market, right? It was a little flagging pattern, but it's getting the push now. Why aluminum gets the push? Well, another stock in that industry gets the push, right? And so this is why I think it's so important to know industries versus knowing stocks. Stocks are singular. Industries have tons of stocks in them. Then sectors have even more stocks in them. And so the more that you can understand the macro approach, you'll do better in the micro. That's what I think is very important. If there's anything that I feel like I have edge on understanding, it's that. Because we can beat some, some names on like one single stock. But I tell you one thing, if you're thinking about trying to trade with the bigger money, right? A lot of traders will tell you that trade with bigger money, trade how they're trading, because that's going to be where the market goes. Well, that is a lot to do with market rotation and understanding sectors and industries and how they're playing out, right?
Yeah. Just going back to, I forget what about exactly you said just now triggered it, but going back to that conversation too, I guess, because what you're saying there, recognizing the rotation, recognizing when there's a confluence of things. Going back to that topic of confidence and everything else, like in our book club, right, our TTP book club on the Discord, we've been reading Market Wizards, which is just a great book because it's got interviews with all these different traders. And right now we're talking about the stock traders, so it's a great segment of the book. But he said, one of the things that struck me talking to all these different traders is the best ones, the ones that have those really killer careers, they know they have this knack for knowing when to go in with a larger size, right? Of knowing when, hey, this is happening for real, and just putting real money behind it and real confidence. And that's where you want to, keep monitoring yourself, keep monitoring your confidence, keep working to stay balanced and stay educated too. So you have the knowledge to have not just like sort of a wild hunch about like, oh, this is the moment, but like some real knowledge on the insights of what connects to what, as you were just saying. And then also so that you have that confidence in yourself. So you learn to know yourself too, just like any other indicator, when your intuition is reliable and when it isn't. If you do that, you can be one of those traders who knows when to, push all the chips in, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's very important. Right now, I'm looking at one guy's CMPS, Compass Pathways. Really nice known setup here, right? Like it's a really classic setup, undercutting the VWAP a couple of times, 1, 2, 3, 4, reversal off of this. Looks good now to get the volume, maybe make a pop towards 6. That's 30 cents higher, but really could get going once it gets through that 6. So I'm thinking about taking a shot here off like kind of the 550s. Now that's where the pullback level is, and you can see it here by the level 2 and the kind of the 3,100 sitting there at the 52s. There's a reason why it's sitting there, right? And then the resistance 580. Why is it up there towards the 584s? Well, that's because it starts to get through the resistance, and we'll look for a move to 6. So I think this is one to watch right now. It is a lower volume name, so watch for the action really to kind of show us the action first. That's why I'm not in it right now. But just mentioning one that is starting to get the move in some of these smaller names, and we'll keep watching to see if any other ones kind of make the move. IFRX is another one that I'm seeing starting to lift, but also very low volume on that. Compass looks good there. It's just more, will it actually make a move? BE, that was a weird stock today. All right, Q starting to hold up a little bit at the 499. Affirm is moving. Yeah, it's moving. RCAT, don't know that one. Red Cat Holdings. It's just one of those days. Ion Q getting a little lift there now towards 2660s. QUBT not moving at all. The VIX, man. The VIX. Ben F, man. I'm glad I took the cash on Ben F today, guys. I would have stopped that on that thing, and that thing has not come back at all. The VIX, man, 45.60. That thing's run at least like $1.40. That's crazy, man. Crazy. Q's just getting beat down today, man. Beat down. What are they saying out there? Stocks lower, heading for a negative week as the post-election rally loses steam here. Dun, dun, dun.
wonder if headlines will get more or less ridiculous as we have more AIs writing them, right? Like, I don't know if you can get a ridiculous headline at the same level from at least from an LLM like you could from like a human writer. So I wonder if they'll turn that down just because they don't want to risk it saying something completely stupid. Or if they care.
I've been seeing that conversation if journalists are going to get replaced or something like that. I think at the end of the day, there are. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's just the way that money works. So, like, let's just think about it this way. You run CNBC right now, right? You look around, you have 500 employees making over $100,000. But then you realize, hey, I can pay AI and it's going to cost me maybe $50,000. That's it. You know what I mean? Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to make the move. What I think is going to be important in the future is opinion pieces, not factual pieces. So you're going to have AI doing the factual pieces, and there'll be AIs to check the AI, right? That's the funny part.
Well, you wonder, like...
Yeah, you wonder if it's going to
be... I wrote a horror story one time. I used an AI to write a sort of horror story about, like, AIs being used to shape
horror story.
About, like, letting AIs take over and stuff. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's, we're moving into that age, right? We're moving into the age where computers are going to do a lot of the work for us. The question is, what are we going to allow them to do, right? That's just what it is. If you allowed them right now to write all the articles, could they do it? The answer is yes. And they could probably write it faster, more effective, and more efficient. Maybe not apply so much emotion like Tim just mentioned. But other than that, I mean, do you even want emotional news? Or do you want more like just factual news? That's where it gets twisted, right? Do people want misinformation with your information? Because that's what usually happens when you get really emotional in like articles, right? Like that's why you hear people say, oh, well, that was good, but it was very political. Things like that, comments like that, right? And the reason why is that there's emotion behind the questioning. Like a lot of people were like hitting the person that was interviewing Jerome Powell yesterday because they were saying that she was being very political on that action. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a great conversation. And a lot of people said that Jerome got caught off guard with smart questions that he couldn't answer. And so that's a good interview to catch because if he can't answer questions, he doesn't know the answers. That's what it is. And I think that's what it is, really. At the end of the day, I think what Jerome showed me on the last conference was that he's just like the rest of us. He doesn't know shit.
Well, that happened at one time, right? Where he's like,
that's the truth.
When someone shut the effing door, right? You remember that?
Yeah, like shut the door out there, man.
Like, I don't have the bleeper, so I couldn't do it as smooth as that. But like, I don't think he even cared that he got. It went like a hot mic. I don't think he even cared that he got heard. Like he's just like, come on,
no, he doesn't care, dude. That guy doesn't. I
mean, at this point, yeah, he's clearly like he's just, you know, he's free. He's transcended emotion and attachment, right? He's like,
yeah, man. I think one of the things was though, it's like because everyone was gonna ask him, then why the hell did you go 50 basis points, right? If you're so data dependent, where's the data that you were looking at? Because that's the only thing he could point to is you'd be like, oh, well, I saw this coming. Well, the truth is, they don't see anything, man. They don't see anything. And that's bad. That's bad news to me. So what does that mean is that the Fed is just reactionary. And that makes sense. Because then it just shows you that they just know just as much as we do. Yeah, they might get economic data, I think, like a day or two early than us. We ain't going to talk about that. But that's what I think is the truth. Yeah, they might get a little bit of some data before we do. But does that make them smarter or does that make them just access to information? That's all it is, really, right? Access to information there. So Jerome doesn't know anything. Trump doesn't know anything. We don't know anything, guys. Nobody knows anything. There's this song by Jimi Hendrix. It's one of my favorite songs. It's called Nobody Knows. It's a very underrated Jimi Hendrix song. Not many know it because it was part of his last album. But take a look at that song if you guys like to jam a little bit of some Jimi Hendrix. Because how does it go? It goes, who knows? Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows, guys. And that's how a lot of the market works. Some people are going to tell you they know things. Guess what? They don't know things, man. Things don't just happen like that. If it would, guess what? They wouldn't tell you. They would make the money. That's the way things work, man. Trust me. If someone knew for certain, 100% that some event was going to happen, they probably try to profit off of it before telling anybody before it. That's just how the psychology would work there, right? So, man, what a day that. So the weakest days are days that you don't go back to the VWAP. Today we did go back to the VWAP once, but look how we can't even get above the 9 EMA today for any really kind of drive. There was that one attempt here, recovered 9, 1, 2, 3, pow, right back below the 9. 1, 2, 3, pow, right back below the 9. We are just not trying to bounce right now. And it's a leak. This is what you call a leak, where it's just slow move down, and continuing to leak here. Now 498.
I might add to my Palantir here, and thanks to who was the fine gentleman in our Discord who was asking about trading that. I hope he got his system sorted out, because
Palantir is ripping. It's strong, man. Yeah, that thing has been as strong as it's ever been. The thing, I traded this at 34 earlier this year. Earlier this year, I was buying it at 34. It's now 64 almost.
So yeah, thanks, Tom, for calling out the Palantir long. I actually got stopped out in the pre-market there, and I didn't look back to catch they try to move up here after the open. But yeah, I just added to so I'm adding here to a winning position. A lot of my others are trimming, but this one might run some more. So I'm up 87 points, just 150 shares. I add another 50. This is on an ultimate size, so I just add another 50. The temptation would be like, oh, I'll double down, but and now I'm going to wait a ways longer before I add another 50. Right, I'm going to just be real slow and careful about adding to it.
ASTS, will it fade again back towards 22s? Just looking at it here, keeping an eye on some of these.
Colgate
Black Sky fading out. Colgate still going. Yeah, the XLP, Colgate, man. XLP seems like an interesting one to maybe take a trade on. That's just because I'm seeing that. But yeah, Colgate Palmolive, really nice push there. So let's see if there's anything else moving in the similar space, right? So what is that? That's the industry of household and personal products. So you're talking your Procter & Gamble. Look at Procter & Gamble up also. So you see what I mean by the industry type of trade, right? So even if I wanted to trade both of these and I just traded both of them to the upside, odds are that I end with what? A green trade. That's why I want to tell you guys more about that, right? So sometimes traders get into this point where they don't know what to trade. Sometimes it's okay to split your money in different trades in that industry, right? Because then that can give you more probability to end in the green, right? So let's say if we just took some of the top names today, right? Just top capitalization. In this space, it's going to be Procter & Gamble, the top one. Then you got Unilever. What is it up? It's up also. Colgate Palmolive up also. KMB up also. KVU up also. You see what I mean right here, right? So the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names in this industry told us upside today. The industry outlook, upside today. The sector, down. But look at what it is in the last hour. In the green. This is why I also have this column here. Change from the open, down, but what's moving in the last hour to the upside? It's utilities, real estate, and defensive names. Those are the names coming back right now.
And Tesla.
Tesla's just on its own little game right now. I think Tesla's trying to not go to 300. I talked about it in the pre-market. Too many people were on Twitter yesterday saying, Where do we get Tesla? 300. So where does Tesla not want to go today? 300, guys. I would like, I should have talked about it in the pre-market, but I could have bet with someone. I'd be like, who wants lunch money, man? Who thinks Tesla gets to 300? Because when everyone's looking at a number, the stock doesn't go there, man. I'm telling you, the stock market loves to hurt where it can hurt the most. So if everyone wants to wait for Tesla pullback at 300, might happen before that 300, right? And so Tesla's been holding on, I think, waiting for the Qs to make an up move. If the Qs could make an up move, Tesla would rip higher. But it's just hanging out here, just trying not to break down towards the 300s. I think a lot of that is investors looking at the 9 EMA and just jumping off of that versus waiting for the whole dollar spot, which is that 300. It's kind of too obvious, right? Sometimes when the thing's too obvious, the stocks don't go to it, man. SPPLL or SPPL, sorry about that. But here, that one's continued. Nice little pattern on that one, now towards 172, and just keeps loading the boat. Like there's someone in here big, because 30 million shares traded on a stock that moved only, let's say, 30 cents. Yeah, someone's in here pretty big here, right? So it's not moving $1, right? It's moving 30 cents. So they still need to see a little bit more, but I think they're looking for a push towards 2. Let's see if it makes that push. Here's that 174. Let's see if it jumps to 185, 190, then 195. You could start looking for some selling into that area. ISPC getting a little lift there. I'm just trying to catch anything that's moving fast here before 11 here, guys. It's 10:48. I've traded, guys. I did the BENF, but I've looked for something else and it just hasn't been there.
Yeah, I'm having a good morning here. I'm looking to see if Colgate. So Colgate, yeah, having that that is pretty much paying for all my Oscar misadventures here. my options for it and in my trade the pool thing today.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and now I'm just gonna now I am debating whether we fall through here. I don't want to make the mistake I made yesterday on Oscar of not really capitalizing on those gains. Carvana could be forming a bear Gartley, but there could be a nice pop up to like 240, 241 before it does. Maybe 243 or 4 if it extends past that 241.50.
Starting to see some Bitcoin names start to get a little lift here, guys. The first one I'm seeing is HUT. So start paying attention to maybe seeing if some of these Bitcoin names are starting to catch some bottoming action here. And of course, that's just me trying to call a little bit of the turn there. But I did see HUT start to make a nice move to the upside. With that being said, I'm looking at like CleanSpark, Riot, names like that as they start to work back to the upside. BTCT could be one of those names that starts to move faster, right? That one's a little bit dangerous to me. So I'm going to stay away. I already paid the price on that one, but I'm going to give you the name, right? I'm going to give you that it can move there. And definitely you can see it already starting to prop, and look at the amount of volume that's come in the last like 15 minutes. You're starting to get at least some volume back to these names. Now the only question is, will they actually take a run back, right? So that's what I'd be looking for, because it could just be a fade throughout the weekend, right? And you never know. Bitcoin could be back at 70K by Monday. So that's what I will tell you guys, is that I expect.
You tweeted, you said like 100K by the end of the year. I still think we could see it by the end of the
I do. I don't think the end of the week. I think there's one pullback to wash these guys, because you started to see the euphoria from like 2020 and dumb mentions. And I'll say dumb mentions like this. I saw people saying that they were taking their whole 401k and saying they were going to go and put it in Bitcoin here because that's what made sense. Comments like that put me on alarm also. They tell me that watch out for the dump on those people, right? They go and they put their 401k and they get dumped on. Then they get out of the trade and then the stock goes for the move, just like it happens to us a lot of the times in trading, right? So I would be watching for quick moves on downside, panic on downside to actually get in here. You get what I mean? So like the opposite psychology, right? And thinking about that can help you a lot of the times when you're trying to be patient on a big flyer, right? If you're trying to be patient on a big flyer, well, one of the things you can't do is outreach, like just overreach for yourself, just trying to get it because you want to get it. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to get 30% on Bitcoin? Yeah, everyone would like to get it. Now, a whole nother thing is taking out like your life savings and trying to call one shot, right? We all know how that works out. You play the hero, end up a zero majority of the time, guys. The heroes are for the comics, man. I'll tell you that much. They're for the comics.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's 10:52. I think we'll start to wrap up in just a second here. Thanks for hanging out today, Tim. I know that you got so many things you do, but it's always good to just hang out, talk a little stuff.
This is a lot of fun today, actually. I'm having a good morning. I'm enjoying it. So
yeah, and what we're doing today, right? You guys see us, right? Like there's a lot of trading action going on, and Tim's taking even more trades than I am. But what am I? I'm more on the sideline and just enjoying it, talking about the markets. You guys need to have traders like that. That's why we have our community, right, in our Discord, right? That's why you guys see Tim so active in there, because this is what really gains you that knowledge, right? Talking with other traders, talking about information, talking about moments, whether it be even psychology, like us talking about the present moment and things like that, self-limiting beliefs. Look into Tony Robbins, right? This weekend, right? Look into him, right? One of the things that I look at often is looking into people that have like the best mindset. I used to study a lot of different kind of players, whether it be like Zig Ziglar. You guys know Ziggy? Zig Ziglar, man, he was one of the best out there, right? They're talking to that motivational talk.
He was real estate or something, right? Or
yeah, he was in real estate, Tim. And I think that that's what you need to kind of learn, right? Is how to get into the best kind of peak performance. Tony Robbins is a big scam. He's actually not, in one way, though. In one way,
Mitch is like, fight me.
No, the key is I've been to some of his like speeches, so I can tell you right now. So like what he knows is this one thing. He knows the power of present, self-limiting beliefs and influence, especially that last one. Influence. He changed his whole game, and you guys can watch him now if you guys want to. I don't think he's as interesting as he was a couple years ago, because he was more into peak performance, getting the most out of people. What he adjusted to was going more into just the business life. So essentially what he wants to do is give you guys access to understanding how to influence others and get the most out of others. And that's how you get the most out of businesses that you're a part of. He's 100% right, because when you have a leader that can empower the bottom and get them to want to work to the top of their level, yes, this is how businesses succeed in life. 1000%. He's not wrong there. So I think, yeah, you can go in if you want to pay, $1 million just to get that mentality, you can. But I think one thing he really did teach really well was self-limiting beliefs, and understanding that if you have these beliefs where you don't think you're going to succeed, but yet you're trying to succeed, I mean, you're just not going to happen, right? And so a lot of us have like trauma or something that happened in our lives that we essentially down ourselves, like we're our own worst enemies, right? And that's the worst kind of trader, because if you're going to be your worst enemy in trading yourself, well, it's just going to boggle your mind, and you're not going to get to that success that we're all looking for. So the best traders also start learning, like Tim said, about themselves, right? About who they are, and get to start to perfect that. If you can perfect who you are in that processed approach, the mentality, dealing with losses, dealing with roller coaster rides, right? Life is a roller coaster. You got to be able to deal with it, right? It's not about running into your room, turning off all the lights and going to sleep. That's never going to get you anything in life, right? So I think those are the things that we can build off of, right? So Not going to pay someone thousands of dollars to yell at me nonstop. Well, yeah, that might not be the best either. So don't go see some of the other ones either. But you can learn from them. And that's what I try to do, right? Like I tell you guys all the time, learn from everybody, find a strength, find a weakness that they have, and attach to that. You don't gotta be some kind of follower and like bow down to people. No, that's not what I think is important. But I can learn. I learned something even from Tim today, right? And I think that you guys out there, try to find things that you're learning from every day so that you can look back and be like, okay, I'm moving forward. It's such a big blessing.
Yep. And it's funny you mentioned the the getting paid to yell at you or whatever. Like I tried one of those forget what the chain was, but it was this like one of those like kind of not martial arts, but like MMA style, like fighting. It was like a gym, but it was like the idea was like it was like workouts, but it was like, fighting skills or whatever. And obviously like I need to get back to some gym here since I moved down here, man. Like I was worried the other day. I thought like somehow I outgrew a shirt in a month, but I just had it buttoned wrong. But anyway, but yeah, no, it was very much like the guy was just like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, you not know how to do, like go," like just shouting and like it's a little much. But some people really it's whatever motivates you too, and whatever not just whatever feels motivating in the moment, but whatever leads to success. So that's where the journaling, not just your trade specifically, but your life, I find valuable. And speaking of just hanging out and relaxing and refreshing and discussing these on the Discord, we have a busy day the rest of the afternoon too, because I owed people a weekly recap. I was kind of running around this morning, so just to redo the charts, might still do that in a little more detail. But yeah, we'll be talking in more detail about TTP4 derivatives traders. So if you are coming from futures, if you're coming from options, or if you want to talk about how to use those in conjunction with your trade the pool platform, like that's something that I still struggle with sometimes is, knowing how trading the underlying asset is a little bit different than the options on there, or even from futures, even though they're a little more forward looking, and how to use them in conjunction. So like I said, I've got a great example with OSCR. We'll be looking at that and just those topics. And then we'll be continuing with some group trading, just the other traders on Discord. You can join us for that. And it is movie night tonight. So we'll be watching the movie Body Brokers, which is apparently.
Did someone say movie night?
7:15 on our Discord. Join us. And I found the DVD at the dollar store, so we'll see if it's any good. But it's somebody ends up, I think the drug rehab industry, the seedy underbelly. And, it says the unknown true story. It's a drama. I don't know. Could be fun. It said broker in it. I was like, there we go.
There you go. I love to hear it, guys, and definitely check it out if you haven't done so already. What are you waiting for? Join that Discord, especially all you guys in the chat. All the loyal followers here, and you guys out there that trade every single day, maybe the whole day. Well, come over to the Discord. Come trade over there. Come talk about the action. There's the Trade Chatter channel. There's Trading Watch List, Trade Alerts, Recap channel, General Chat. You can have some fun and just talk out there. So definitely, that's one thing I definitely recommend for all you traders out there to do. And maybe even you're not so active, but you just want to take a look at different actions. Traders talking about trades, right? That's why you would go to our Discord versus like just going on the Twitter, because you're going to see a whole bunch of other crap, right? But at least this is curated just for trading. So if you want to go ahead and take a look at that, of course, we'll throw up the link in the chat here before we wrap it up. And look at that, already going, my man on it, guys. Hit that link, get to the Discord. We'll see you guys back here on Monday. We'll keep battling right here on Trade the Pool. Tim will be here. I'll be here. We'll keep battling like always, guys. There's not one way to success. This week, I got really, really close to the limited account. I'm at 746, got all the way up to 900. Let's see if next week is finally that week we make it happen. I'll tell you one thing. I'll be thinking positive throughout the weekend. You guys build on those skills. Try to find the habit that you're doing bad. Make an improvement on that. Just that next week can give you a nice lift. We'll see you guys back here. Tim, always good to be with you. And like always, guys, trade the pool is the only way, man. Check out that limited account before it's gone at the end of the year. I know that there's going to be some of you guys on January 1st crying about how you didn't get the limited account. We'll see you guys back on Monday.